In front of a lavish estate with a perfectly kept garden stood a gorgeous blonde, straight out of the kind of autumn game world you can't forget. The hero pauses, wondering if this even feels like an autumn game, then shrugs it off, keeps sipping his tea and promises himself he'll deal with it later. Ladinga leans in and snaps, "Are you even listening to me?" So yeah, he's locked in, fully focused, right on her words. She keeps spinning her little tale, but the hero won't let it end. He's already hooked by how captivating it is. She snaps, "I'm not done," and admits she's worn out, then demands he treat her like the gentle woman she is. He leans into the gentleman and demands he at least try to resemble Roy, then presses for who Roy even is, because the second he finally hears the name, everything clicks. Roy was convinced he'd stumbled into an autumn game because the blonde kept talking like it was just him, so oblivious he stayed, until that one name hit his ears and everything finally clicked into place. The first prince, target number 1 in your star system, and yes, if my memory's right, he's the main guy in the story. Star, tell me what you need because I'll do it all for you. That's the whole point of the game, so how in the world does he pull it off? He knows the game because I've already helped my sister muscle through it. He even remembers, in his past life his little sister told him about this exact game and again in this one. He's an only child and across the way sits Lydia von Ernst, the Duke's daughter and the heroine's bitter rival from Roy's root. Back in the game she was Roy's bride, no jokes, she demanded respect, and now they're tucked away in one of the corners of her massive garden. And yeah, he's the Duke's gardener Isaac Baumgarten's son and student, but while he was busy helping his sister with the game, he didn't spot a single one of the gardener's other students here. He's not even Mafia 3 years ago. The heir of the Ernst estate, cursed and blessed with memories from a past life, keeps it locked tight, never telling a soul. The day he first set foot on the estate, his father takes him in as a pupil and now they've marched straight into the ducal palace. The Duke barrels down the stairs, spots Isaac and blurts out that he's cute. Isaac locks eyes with her, stunned at how good-looking she is, while her father steps in and tells Duke that his son is still brand new, but that he's confident he'll train him the right way. Before they head to work, he wants to personally introduce the boy to his Duke. "Your name is Isaac Baumgartner," the boy says, and his whole voice rings with pride. "It's an honor to be here." The Duke introduces himself as Harold, beams that he's happy to meet you, then leans in and notes Isaac looks way too young here, so he asks you straight up how old he is. "My father says I'm 7, and the Herald bursts out, "Wonderful, because at that age this kid already knows how to nail his student duties. Maybe he's some kind of genius, but my dad says that's a lie. In his eyes he's nothing but a rude Duke. He claims he's only 2 years older than the Duke's daughter and promises he'd rather play and have fun than work, but Isaac shuts him down. He insists he's not interested in that and he wants to start guarding the Duke's garden ASAP. His father tends that massive estate garden all by himself and he's aching to earn his respect, pitching in, picking up the work, refusing to slack off. The Duke catches it and grins, saying it's the sweetest thing because that's exactly the kind of son he wants. The girl slips into the room and some clueless fool blurts out, "Aw, you're a cute little angel." Grilling her for where she's been all morning, the girl snaps back that it's just too much. The maid he handed her is downright disgusting. When she tried brushing her hair, the comb jammed and pain shot through her, bad enough to make her wince hard. The Duke? He gently strokes her head and tells her his beautiful hair is so sensitive, then he can't stop imagining the exact pain she must have felt. She shrieks at him to let that armless idiot go, right now, and the whole room goes dead silent. Isaac leans in and warns her that her personality is basically a walking fuse, pure inflammation. Every head in the room snaps toward him, and the whole place goes silent. She snaps him a sharp slap on the head and orders him to apologize, then Isaac just stays stone silent. No matter how royal her bloodline runs, that doesn't give her the right to send people away with a flick of her left foot. So he's left baffled because he has no clue why he should be the one to apologize. The girl blinks and asks what he just said, and Isaac snarls that he called her a little girl with a nasty attitude and awful manners, so she'll grow up to be a real weirdo, and she demands to know who he thinks he's talking to. Isaac snaps back that she's the Duke's daughter right after she echoes, "That's exactly what you did." Then he hits the point. Did Isaac really think common folk could talk to aristocrats like that? Isaac presses, "So you're asking if this is?" Her dad really does have major pull. She insists it's true again and again. He fires off, "So you're influential?" And she shoots back, "Yes," and Isaac starts asking next. That's her power, pure and undeniable. She tells everyone this is exactly what it's all about. Isaac fires back the same question and then he explains that the Duke has. He built his name by shouldering huge duties and knocking out task after task. Then she drops that she's from the Ernst family and Isaac keeps pressing, asking again whether her father isn't the family head. Who gets to decide who gets fired? Only one person, right? The girl just doesn't know what to say. She whips her hand across his face. He snaps back with a look so terrifying the girl freezes in pure shock and the boy snaps that if she resorts to violence she's basically admitting defeat and he hasn't even unleashed his best move yet. She can't possibly answer, she knows it, and deep down she's miles away from her father. The girl clenches her fists, whips around and bolts Isaac. Feels like danger is creeping in from the father. But the Duke slams the brakes on the father, turns to Isaac and thanks him, then the boy blurts, "Hey." He swallowed his pride and accepted the apology because that's what it took. He still couldn't believe what snapped out of him or how he'd never thought about what he just said to his daughter. Then the Duke steps in and reveals the twist. It wasn't an attack at all, he had just saved him. Isaac can't even remember the last time he managed to scold her and the way he handled it, answering a question with a question, makes him grin. I should try that sometime. And in Isaac's mind, he relives how this same tactic was tested on his sister in a past life. The steward storms back out and barks a reminder about the time and the Duke snaps, "I've got to go, but I'll be right back." As he leaves, he leans in and tells Isaac that Daya, the one he loves, is straight up angelic, and he promises her heart is just as gorgeous on the inside. He nods along, baffled that parents can love their kids so blindly. Then once they're out of the Duke's house, his father snaps at him and demands a real apology and Isaac blurts out, "I'm so sorry." Daya sits on the open veranda at lunch, chewing in silence while panic crawls in. She never knows what to say, so she plans to back off fast, then she'll make that ignoramus regret it. She's the one running the show and fires off a question to the maid, "Who's that guy from this morning?" The maid blurts out that he was with Mr. Bumgartner and looks an awful lot like the gardener's apprentice. The girl can't believe it. This guy who was raised in a den is somehow one of their servants. She gasps that their garden is still standing with those workers around, finishes her tea and then steps out for a walk through the garden. She spots a guy who works there and begs him to pause for a sec, but he just keeps grinding and fires back, "What's going on?" She's wheezing from the run and Daya demands to know why he's still working. Isaac leans in and asks, "Did you really cross the entire vast garden of our estate just to chase this information?" He can't stop himself. Why is she really here? She tells him she came to hand him a second shot to apologize properly. He's shocked that a girl so young can run this far, so he blurts out, "You skipping school?" Joe just shakes his head and says she has no classes today. Isaac insists that noble kids juggle their own huge load of duties and she admits he's right. Then Isaac blurts an apology for the disrespectful words he used. Death storms in thinking it finally came to crush him, but somehow it slips an apology out so easily. So she rips into him, screaming for him to meet her eyes when he apologizes because you don't just say it, you mean it. Isaac snaps that it's way too much. He's already wasted so much time apologizing just because his father demanded it, and he's still got tons of work to finish here, at least until the... She asks what keeps him so busy and Isaac admits he's thinning the insect-repelling herbs because if he doesn't, they'll go wild and get way too overgrown. Gia pushes for the reason. They should be thinned out. Isaac explains that grasses are actually similar to weeds. They reproduce in the same way and outcompete other plants. Dale admits she never realized even helpful herbs can turn dangerous, then asks what Dale will do with all the ones he's picked, only for him to grin and say he'll check in the kitchen first, and if anything's left he'll bring it straight to his mother. You can sprinkle them on meat for serious flavor, or steep them in hot water to brew a fresh, powerful tea. She's stunned. She never imagined tea and spices come from weeds. Then she snaps back, telling him to apologize and stop dodging into side topics, and he finally explains exactly what he needs to do. She fires off an apology, and just like that, her terrible behavior screams confirmation of his suspicions, so he turns to Gia and demands, if the king suddenly declares war and stomps on the neighbors, what happens next, and how would she feel if her own father got sent to fight? She calls it sheer tyranny, spits that any king like him is a total fool, and if war ever erupts, innocent lives will get crushed. She'll never forgive the king who forced her father to risk his life. Isaac fires back. Yeah, she answers everything right. And then he shoots her a question, does she see any similarities? Honestly, what she did to that maid is sickening. For regular people, work is survival, not a game, so even if she's from some noble bloodline, there has to be a real reason behind her cruelty. She made the servant meet the exact same end she did, like it was her cruel plan all along. The girl is still staring, stuck in her thoughts, and Isaac asks. He's not sure she even knows the maid's name, so Jess blurts out that she doesn't. Then he presses, asking whether she knows the maid's true talent, because that maid, the absolute master of brewing tea. She could no longer savor that delicious tea, and the loss stung, but it didn't mean she had to fixate on people or pay them more attention. Which serve her, and yeah, it's not that hard, but it comes packed with serious advantages. He whips his head toward her and demands what happened, and she blurts that she only wanted him to notice her. Then Isaac gently strokes her hair and tells her that before they ever take anything seriously, she needs to be sure there's a damn good reason. The way she acts toward others screams one thing, she thinks only he holds all the answers. Then she blushes and Isaac clocks it instantly. Next thing you know, she slaps his hand and demands straight up who's to blame for all of it. So Isaac Saish just carried on like nothing happened, while she snapped that it was inappropriate because she was nobility and he was just a commoner. Isaac hated being touched, insisted she call him by his name, and demanded to know if her claim was actually true. Yep, her name is Diameter and she insists only family gets to call her that. Her dad gave her the beautiful name Lydia, and Isaac jokes he could call her Ladik or Laetitia. Then he stops and admits it just doesn't fit her at all, and the girl nods right along, saying it absolutely doesn't. Isaac insists he'll call her Malady, and Jeff jumps in to correct him on the proper way to address her. Malady then tells Isaac he sounds like a teacher, even though he doesn't look a day older than her, and Isaac claims the real issue is that Malady acts like a kid, so he swears that if she asked the Duke or someone from the family, they'd see it his way, but Malady snaps back that she can't ask them for that. She says she can't act careless and light because she's terrified of being rejected. Isaac presses her on it, then tells her to just go talk to her father. He's convinced the Duke will be thrilled to pieces, jazzed. Isaac swears it's true and begs her to believe him, but she should clock it for herself, because the people around her are everywhere, and as the Duke's daughter she's got to read their traits, moods, and character, not sit around waiting for someone to tell her. But maybe she can't, because she was raised in a warm, loving family that shaped her heart. He begs her to stop firing people over petty stuff, and she snaps back loud as a bell, "That's enough, I won't do it again," then blurts that she's praying it's not too late to apologize to the cleaner. Isaac hesitates, wondering if he should get her name before he apologizes, then Dia pouts, presses her lips tight, and stays completely silent. Then she flips the script, she admits she understands, and she grabs Isaac's attention to take back what he said about her fiery temper. He goes quiet for ages, then finally admits he was unreasonably strict, like too strict, and even though he meant well, but the consequences hit way too hard. He gushes that Nalidi is amazing until her smile hits, and she turns from good to downright irresistible. She's blushing again and he grabs her attention, asking straight up if she's okay. She shoots back, "I'm fine," then stretches out her hand and brushes off the crumbs that are stuck in her hair. She gasps when she spots dirt in her hair and Isaac tells her it's fertilizer. Then, without thinking, he pats her on the head while still wearing his work gloves. She shrieks at the top of her lungs. This whole wild day spiraled out of control because of that one guy, and somehow she's not ready for it to end, and when she storms back to the estate, she wants to track down that maid's name, apologize in person, and only then wipe the dirt from your hair. That first spring after he became a student, the Duke pulled him in for a warm embrace and thanked him. Then the steward leaned in and begged him to stay just a bit longer. Next, he shoots a warning that his master could end up getting stained with all this trouble. Isaac says it straight, and honestly, Isaac doesn't think he's done a single thing worth thanking for, not even a little. To get why he even did that, the Duke spills the story of how she became so stunning, and he finally replies, "She's always been the best, but now she's gone even kinder," and Isaac can't help but ask what any of this has to do with him. Duke tells her that after he snapped at her, she now escorts him every morning, and via clock something wild. Jeb has been hanging around Flora, his younger sister-in-law, more and more day after day until they meet at the same table at least once, and now he's got work to fight about. Then he slips back home like it's some kind of vacation. Isaac says this is Jay. She pulls out every trick in the book, but the Duke refuses to back him up. He's convinced Isaac is the one behind all these changes, and he swears that a bird once sang to him, saying that ever since then they've been in non-stop communication. It pops up every few days for one reason or another and spills the whole story to him while he keeps working and listening, like the time she told me she'd made up with her maid, Catherine, and how her little sister, Flora, was ridiculously tiny. The Duke flashes a smile and tells everyone Gia's finally drawn closer to them, because she has a peer. Then he leans in and orders the guy to keep getting along with her. The Duke grips his hand and Isaac nods right along. Then the Duke promises to stay out of his work now, and Isaac waves him off with a shaky apology for ruining the thing. When did he turn into such a total sycophant? Until his father yanked him back to work, promoted him, and made himself the boss, and now he's scrambling to act professional because he's only a student. He keeps things quiet, brings what's needed, serves with steady hands, and never steals attention, yet he still gets to watch from the very front row as his father works the garden. When he was still tiny, his father led him through the courtyard he'd built himself, like a secret playground made just for their walks. When the planted flowers burst into bloom for the holiday, it felt like real magic, and he couldn't believe his father wasn't a wizard at all. Magic is real in this world, and whoever can steer its power becomes a magician. Most regular people can barely even touch it, so magical gifts almost always land in the hands of aristocrats. His earth magic affinity is weak, but it still lets him read what the soil is like, yet he never casts magic because gardening is all about knowing and working with the land, not relying on spells. So he keeps magic out of his work. He remembers how tempting it felt in a previous life, but after seeing how magic in computer games makes you feel like it's everywhere, he's like, yeah, not as cool as you think. High-frequency radio waves crackle as Isaac waters the plants, staring at Melody's bright red dresses and smug attitude, and wondering what kind of magic she's secretly got up her sleeve. Ian panics, thinking she looks awful. Then Jur suddenly shows up in the garden and yells for him, so he blurts out what happened today, and Dai tells him she went straight to her mother. She inherited a natural gift for magic. Usually it shows up around 5 years old, so it looks like she just realized it. He's all smiles about it, and then he leans in and asks what kind of pen she's using. She insists it's lightning, and Isaac immediately knows that's his weakness, so he'll definitely keep his cool and not set her off. Jug freaked out. Turns out it's basically impossible to use, and unlike her mom, her whole hair is curled at once, so Isaac tells her she can magically kickstart the factory machines. She questions whether he's really immortal, and that's when he offers her the job. He just laughs and says it might even be a backup generator, and Jug's rage explodes as he starts raiding. It shoots electricity through the air. Isaac blurts out an apology, admitting he never even thought about it because her lightning terrifies him. She's probably glued to him just because he's her only real match. Meanwhile, his younger sister kept hassling him too. He tells Dai that she always shows up in the brightest outfits, and he can't help gushing about her dress. It's a blinding pink dress wrapped in dainty lace ribbons, so bright it feels unreal. This dress pulls eyes like a magnet. Dai swears it guards her with every step, and she doesn't just wear it, she comes from the very top of the aristocracy. But with her young age holding her back, she can't fight back at all against the people who hate and spit on her. That dress makes her pop out of the crowd, and yeah, it makes her feel 10 times stronger, like she's finally got the power to be seen, and that's straight-up childlike thinking. Plus he even rocked red for the same reason once. Reasons. Isaac presses her again, and the wild part is, it's totally not like her to crack like this. He's lost in thought, then blurts out, asking what she wants to wear, while Dee wrestles with her answer, and then she tells him she wants to wear gentler colors like her mom, but I wanna try too, except I can't. Isaac says that she's freaking out about keeping her spot, but deep down it doesn't even matter what she wears, so she snaps at him, "Why are you so confident?" And Isaac just smirks, "Because you're beautiful." Dia blushed again. Isaac clocked it instantly, and he told her she always does. Beauty, openness, honesty, and confidence are what matter, and it doesn't matter a single thing what anyone else tries to say. She blurts out, "Isaac, why are you like this? What's wrong with you?" And shame washes over her as Isaac snaps, "That's enough." He kept hoping he'd catch a glimpse of her new form real soon. Like he'd said before, this was never meant for her. In just a few days, it was Melody's first time wearing a cherry blossom dress, and she rushed in to see him. After spring wrapped up, the rainy season slammed into town. Satsam's out in the garden, and the moment the boy spots rain in the air, his water magic instinct goes wild. He can feel the storm rolling in, and he can't shake the worry. Looks like a brutal storm is rolling in, and Dad warns they might not be home for a while. The moment the skies open, the gardeners rush into a tiny shed for shelter. If anything goes wrong out in the garden, they'll spring into action fast. He grabs his hand and says, "If it turns out that bad, we've got to tell Mom we're spending the night." And then he summons a dove of pure wind. This is the simplest wind magic there is. It'll fly in, scatter at the destination, and vanish soon after, but not before it drops the message right on target. In this world, he isn't stuck with only the elements he loves. He can use them to strike the perfect balance. He hammers his skills not just in water but across the elements, so when he finally unleashes wind magic, it hits like it was built for him. It even slipped past everyone else, and for that atomic game his own sister could play, figuring it out wasn't a walk in the park. Because right here, the role-playing part gets laid out step by step, and even something as simple as growing grass demands real skill. When he played, the tiny stuff bored him out of his mind and he forgot almost everything. Then Yi calls out, and he spins around and tells her to be careful because leaves and branches rain down from the trees as she stares, confused. What are they doing? Isaac tells her they're trimming the branches so the trees don't tip to one side. Then she asks the big question, can they be used as firewood? Isaac shakes his head, no they can't. He insists the rain will hit again soon. Dia snaps, how do you know? Isaac admits it like it's in his bones, saying he's got to pull toward water, and then he asks, didn't I ever tell you? Dia shakes her head, stunned, I'm hearing it for the first time. Isaac leans in and tells her. He tells her the whole thing's more important, that they've got to rush inside before the rain soaks them, and that he's got a secret to share. Then he says they'll be staying in the annex today since the storm should ease up soon and she'll be able to find him there. Dia's jaw drops. She asks, so you'll be here after sunset, right? And he answers, yeah, yes. There's work piled up everywhere, and Jess grins as she tells him, after dinner, I'll send someone to pick you up. She slips out like a spark and swears she'll see you again. Isaac can't shake the feeling Maladi's way too hyped, and for a split second he even worries something's wrong, because this is his first real chance to meet her family. He tells himself to get his act together, wash up, freshen his face, put on something decent, but before he can do that he has to grab supplies for dinner since they're cooking this on their own. They have to. She busts out the household chores every day, while Dad grabs every heavy task that needs real strength and pitches in to help Mom as much as he can. So it's not like Dad couldn't cook. He learned from Mom, and once he got the lessons he cooked way better. Then of course it still ended up being unfortunate. So yeah, only Dad can do the tough work. He looked at his mom and promised, when I grow up I'll help you carry the heavy stuff. She beamed, saying she can't wait. That's why you've got to put in the work now and help as much as you possibly can. In his previous life, he was an average student, hustling in his parents' family restaurant every day and hunting for a normal job to start his real life. I ate plain food, juggled a part-time job to save every coin, and still missed the top university because I never pushed hard enough in school. He's haunted by the fact that he got too comfortable, and even though he died in an accident, the twist is brutal. During his job hunt, they actually diagnosed him with cancer. They dragged him into a medical exam and the doctor dropped the bomb. His disease was already in its terminal stage. He had just 3 months to live. He crumpled into despair, stuck on how to tell his family and friends, and didn't even realize the rain was pouring down, let alone keep going. The car peeled away and he was already gone, 3 months before he was ever supposed to be. Deep down, he respected his stubborn father who busted his back his whole life, so he chose the simplest road and swallowed his dream, deciding to take over the restaurant he'd inherited. Right from the start, there was an alternate airfield, but it wasn't until he died that he finally understood just how tiny he was compared to his father. After being reborn, he vowed to live with 0 regrets, and he'd stand tall in everything he does, no matter what anyone else thinks. Memories from his old life surged back, and he solved everything alone. His father thunders down the stairs, ruffles his hair, squeezes him in a tight hug, and roars, "Go faster." Thunder is already growling overhead. He hoists it onto his shoulders and hauls it home. A furious wind howls through the garden as Dad sprints past the plants, and Isaac can't stop grinning. He's absolutely thrilled. He blurts to his father that he totally forgot, then begs him to go to the kitchen. Isaac wraps his arms around his father, thanks him from the bottom of his heart, "My father." A huge grin spreads across his face as he dashes faster and faster, like he can't slow down. They stride toward the gardener's extension, and Isaac can't shake the question, could it really be just like that? She's way more beautiful than their house, and he'd heard it was built back when the Duke's grandfather was still alive. It was his father's time, so he braced himself to find that busted shack, and then he froze in shock. He almost wiped his own rest right out of his head, too. He de-promised Malada he'd come by, so he told his father, let me wash up first, even as he. Isaac's got a bit of work left, and just as the rain starts crashing outside, he and his dad sit down for dinner. Then Isaac heads to the bath and you hear something. A hard knock rattles the door. My father yanks it open and finds a footman standing there under an umbrella, and he says the lady's waiting for Isaac. Isaac's face lights up and he happily says that he's already headed out, towel clutched over his head, while his father ruffles through his hair with one more towel and orders him to grab a raincoat. So he snatches one up, drapes it over Isaac, thanks his dad, and hurries straight for the palace. He's sprawled on a huge sofa in the hall, stuck waiting for them to call the lady, and every second feels wrong, like something's about to snap. He's baffled by how wildly polite they are to every ordinary person, because he can't shake the question of what the servants are really thinking, like the Lord's butler or Melide's own maid. She's locked in the room with her maid Katerina, and then she turns to Isaac, thanking him for waiting. Daya ushers him in front of Fraulein Katerina, and he bows low, then blurts out an apology. Because he was clueless, Daya swooped in and introduced her to a boy, Isaac Baumgartner, the gardener's apprentice. Then the maid snapped, I'm Katrina and I serve the master. Lydia, Isaac beams when he meets her, and she tells him to just call her Katrina. Isaac leaned in and told her he felt lucky just to taste the tea she'd brewed, and the way his my lady kept praising it, total love letter to her skills. Di wants to try it so badly, and then bam, Di snaps with outrage as Isaac's words light a fire in the room. She huffs that he needs to quit the nonsense, but Isaac tells her not to be shy because she always goes on about Katrina, the girl who brews tea from weird little leaves, and now Di says she isn't scared of Katrina anymore, she's even smiling at her. That's when Di turns to Isaac and demands to know why he said all that to her. And he taps Isaac's shoulder asking, don't you like Katrina? But Dia snaps shh quiet. Catherine stares at them, lets out a soft laugh and says they look like the kind of friends who'd stick together. Daya snaps that she doesn't care at all, and Isaac clocks that she never even looks angry when Katrina flashes that smile, because, as usual, every emotion hits her face first. Daya stares at him and blurts, what's wrong with your hair? He explains that his father tried to dry her off after the bath, admits he cares about how he looks but says it still wasn't enough. Then he blurts that he couldn't make her wait because Jed doesn't want any ifs. Jed tells Katerina to grab her a comb the moment she's done preparing the tea, and once she's ready, she's free to go, so Katerina does exactly that and brings the comb. Isaac is sipping tea like he's taking it easy, while Dio leans in and meticulously combs through his hair. He leans in and asks if her tea will cool off, and she laughs, saying Katerina's tea tastes incredible even after it's gone cold. After she runs the brush through her hair, she grins and says it feels way better now. Then he asks what she packed, and she goes right into recalling everything she brought. She couldn't wait to show him her favorite book, one of those picture books packed with dragons. She blurts out, am I too childish for you? Isaac shakes his head no and says the truth is it's just that. He can't read a single thing, people around him struggle too, and he can barely spot a few words before the world goes dead silent. He says if that's really true then come read to me, and then he doesn't. He's weirdly into it when Eddie's torn up or full of regret, stuff he would never care about otherwise, so they sink down together. She flips open a book for him and then he tells her, I'd be so happy if you taught me the letters, and Diaz says if you. She knows nothing yet, you'll have to teach her, and the moment Milady smiles, charm hits like lightning. Meanwhile, rain is hammering outside. Melody slides up to the gardener's shed alone, and Isaac steps in fast, asking what she's up to. What's he even doing here? She says he told her straight up when it rains he's got no work, so she's going to teach him, and Isaac's like, yeah, she probably has nothing better to do either. He has. She ushers them inside, tells them to hold on, and then if she. Curious, she scans the room, and after a while he hurries back with 2 cups of tea, begging her forgiveness for the wait. Then Daya fires back, asking if he really thinks he can act that way. Shamelessly, while everyone waits, Daya can't sit still. She's jittering, staring, and soaking up every little thing like it's the first time she's ever seen it because curiosity won't let her rest. Isaac admits he has no clue if they'll like it, but he urges them to try the herbal tea anyway. His mom's special tea is brewed from kitchen herbs, so the girls take a sip and burst out laughing because it tastes insanely good. Isaac tells Joe that his mom is gonna be thrilled, and Joe buys it. Sure, those herbs are great, but it all comes down to the way you brew them, and Isaac even soaks up the compliments like they're sunshine. Until Dea shrugs and says Katarina's tea is clearly on another level, and Isaac begs them not to compare because Katarina's still the real master. Now she's pushing them to get back to the sheep, then she yanks an envelope from her sleeve and demands he open it right now. He does. It spots the alpha right here incoming. On page 1, the text hits you in sharp capital letters and page 2 slips into lowercase. Because for Melida, paper and pens are pure luxury here, and a kid like him would never even dare to dream about owning one. He notices her handwriting is ridiculously beautiful and she shrugs it off like it's nothing, then asks him to teach her how to write letters the right way because she didn't even bring paper or a pen, and Isaac tells her it's okay, but he's got something in mind and he's bringing it here. Then he hauls in a seedling tray loaded with soil plus a stick and a scraper, declares everything's set, and Daya snaps back. So what are you gonna do? He goes on about it and shows you how to scratch the words in the dirt with a stick, then wipe it clean with a scraper, and yeah, it actually works. Gia is stunned that he's actually that smart. Katrina only nods along, and he can't help thinking it's a bit blown out of proportion. While Isaac snorts that only a commoner would come up with something like that, like they've never played hopscotch by drawing circles on the ground with a stone. She should have lived a normal childhood, walk up to him, play with kids her age, laugh like it's easy, but it's too much. Walking through working-class neighborhoods is risky as hell. Try to trace where something came from and you might watch it get snatched away in seconds. I swear I wish it were so awesome it didn't come with all that danger. Aya spots it and blurts, "Wait, what's wrong with it?" Then she leans in and demands, "What is it?" He dreams about it, waves it off saying, "I'm good, everything's fine," then begs her to take care of him and even calls her teacher. And when she says that's the right mindset, she vows to show him how, suggesting they start by writing it down. He agrees, and then he spots Gia leaning over. Isaac tells her to rest for a moment, but she shoots back that she's a teacher, so sleep isn't an option, and just like that she's finished. Katrina feels a soft tea land on her shoulder, and before she can even react, it sinks in and falls asleep. He flops it onto the couch and he and Katrina burst into laughter. "Thank you, Katrina." Isaac thinks he should have apologized back then, says he's the one who has to make it right, but he just won't. Smart choices only shoved everyone into an even bigger mess, so when Catherine said she was thrilled that a stranger stepped in for her, you could feel the relief hit. Lydia's fury was aimed right at him, and Isaac remembers it wasn't just her. Her dad was tangled up in it too. Then Catherine erupts in laughter, saying, Melody claimed she's not as skilled as her sisters and can't become the heir like her brother, and if she ever loses her job, the whole Lagarde family will be thrown into chaos. She even said the Lagarde head is just a baronet, so they don't control any land of their own, for daughters of a family like that. In most families, bonds get forged through loyalty to powerful lords or ruthless political marriages. But because of a nasty birthmark, Katarina's father kicked her out and shoved her into hard labor, and when it came to what would happen if she ever got out, Katarina could only say she didn't know. Happier than she's ever been serving Lady Lydia now when he locks eyes. They look like sisters. Yeah, that whole incident is the proof. Of course, back when it was all over, he says it looks like a daisy, and the moment she laughs she burst into beauty like a daisy, and when her father snaps that nobody will ever marry her, you can tell his judgment is seriously off. She insists it's not true, but Isaac is convinced this issue has to be confronted. Lydia mutters in her sleep, and Isaac glances over to see Milady already knocked out cold. Catherine tells Isaac that the lady never went to bed last night, and Isaac shoots back, "Why didn't she sleep?" Catherine says she was writing and Lily wouldn't stop until her work finally satisfied her. Isaac shoves the papers out of sight and swears he'll keep them all to himself, then his father calls his name. Someone yells, "Ake!" and he bursts into the room like a spark, right on time to say it's time. Lydia jolts awake, and then Katrina's there too. She blurts out, "Good morning," half asleep, while her mind reels, trying to figure out why they even dragged him in. He tells her it's his nickname, and he can be called that too. Lydia nods along, then it hits him and he remembers. She's doing it anyway and snaps that it's wrong, and Isaac leans in and demands, "What exactly are you saying?" She brings it up and demands to know what happened. Then she snaps back that her actions aren't fit for a young duke's daughter, and Isaac reminds her how she once smiled so sweetly. She huffs that he should drop it, and the duke starts writing. In the letter, he talks about his daughter, how she started seeing him off with this warm smile so sweet it hurts, and how her reserved, even a little shy behavior somehow made it even more precious too. The butler bows with perfect respect, then asks if he should be putting in more work with his hands instead of his tongue, so the duke smirks, reminding him that his hands aren't meant for idleness. The butler snaps that if he'd stayed quiet for even a second he'd have moved faster. Then the duke declares, "I'll die unless I spread my family's love to the whole world." So the real question hits hard: did the butler secretly want him to die? At first he demanded the duke keep it quiet outside the estate, but now he's got to clamp his excitement down at work. The butler says his enthusiasm won't stop bubbling, and the duke just nods along because his love for his family is limitless. Heinz knitted his brows as soon as he heard it, then demanded the duke weigh his own position and the thoughts of everyone around him. Because even if Heinz is loyal to the bone, the women who try to lure him never get anywhere, while the duke stays unshaken, making every call in calm silence with just a small, knowing smile. Yeah, that guy everyone calls the Ice Duke, and get this, there's another one. They call him that because he's got a rare gift for two elements, water and wind, and when he mixes them, ice magic comes pouring out. Magic blew past anything humans could dream of, and at just 24 years old he seized control as the head of not one but three ministries: magic, health, and pharmacy. This stunt earned him the nickname Tree Glove, and for someone with a high rank there's no filthy rumors ever swirl around the duke, because everyone can tell he's got real competence. Everyone around Harold has zero clue that the cold duke just melts the second he's inside the family circle. As long as he's got his family, he doesn't give a damn what anyone else thinks. Heinz even says that when he was crushed with sadness, Lydia heard just how hard he kept working, and she couldn't help but fill up with pure admiration and respect. The Duke declares with iron certainty that he'll pull out every stop to protect his precious daughter. He bursts into laughter and swears he finally got an amazing assistant. Then Heinz cuts in and announces, "You're mine now, I'm making you my butler." Someone keeps pounding on the door and Dia snaps, "Is my father here?" Duke swears an angel fell from heaven and wore Lydia's face, while Heinz yanks the door open and snaps, "That's just way too much." The Duke swears he only told the truth, but he's desperate to know what happened and why she showed up when he was swamped, so she tells him, "I heard you had just a few things to handle today." She figured they could swing by Flora together, then she asked the Duke if it would be too much trouble. Right after that, the Duke snapped up the idea, saying he'd happily spend time with the princesses since he's already done with his letters, and the footman T knows every bit of it. When he finally did it, they were pacing through the castle, and the Duke kept bowing and apologizing because she's usually chained up with work all day. She's thrilled he's putting in the grind, and the Duke swears he finally feels happy after all that success. Now he's staring at how Dolly, Sue, and Isaac are working together. Lydia clutches a book and tells her father it's for Flora, then he presses again, asking if it isn't too early, and Lydia snaps back that this is different, promising she'll show him later. He grins and says he'll wait eagerly, and they step inside the book. Flora and her mother are in the room when the Duke turns to his wife and gushes, calling her still beautiful, like a goddess, and Lydia slips toward the window to look out. She steps behind him and calls out, "Do you see me?" and he realizes watching. Gerald and Lydia arrived and Via lit up. She just knew Flora would beam when she saw them. Duke Paul. Smiling sweetly, she rushes out an apology for being late and swears it's another urgent problem again, she just knows it. He admits he had to write a few letters and my wife clocks the truth instantly. The Duke goes, "Yeah, I'm busy at work but it doesn't make me happy. All he craves is to be needed by her, and that grin tells you everything." Lydia is playing as Flora and gushes that she's just so sweet, and the two are soaking up time together until the Duke steps in and suggests. As soon as the rain finally lets up, Lydia beams and says, "Let's go. If we step out together, I know the perfect spot to soak in those gorgeous hydrangeas, my father." He agrees, saying she's been checking their garden up close, real careful. She admits she's been wandering there a lot lately. Then the messenger leans in and asks Via if he ever told her about Isaac, and before it can spiral out of control, Lydia blasts a warning. Via blurts that the maid saw Dea hanging out with the young gardener's apprentice, and that Dea didn't even bother telling her, which leaves her furious, until Dea fires back, saying she panicked because she didn't want her mom to get mad since he's just a commoner. Via shoots him a question, "Are you really a close friend of mine?" And then she pauses, thinking it over. Vea nods back, saying she'd love to meet him. Then Lydia floods with joy and relief, and she swears she. Remise yells that if Ache slips and gets rude, she'll scold him herself, and Mom clocks how close they already are, calling each other by nicknames like it's nothing. Lydia bursts into a scream, insisting she's totally wrong, and Gerald shoots back asking if he should start getting jealous of Isaac, while Mom calmly says he must be an amazing guy if she's that worried. Jess then yells that they've got it all wrong. Mom and Dad are roaring with laughter and she's leaning in, chatting with her father, because yeah, we already brought it up. She's bursting to speak, so she stretches the book out, finally blurting out the question she's been holding back. Isaac pitched the idea, write each other letters in the diary. She knows her father's always buried in work, but there's more to this. Her handwriting practice is paying off, and she asks if it's a bad idea. Gerald thanks. He thanks God for blessing him with such a daughter, beams that he's over the moon, and announces they'll start today. Then the butler snatches the diary and says that he guard him. Gerald is fuming, swearing the diary is his and pushing back when D. Hines tries to claim it, but D. Hines shoots back that he'll hand it over the second they get a break. Wire sides with Gerald since he's loaded with duties, and then Hans strides in and snatches the diary. Lydia is sobbing and yelling for her father to come because they were dying to go for a walk. Then he says yes, and Isaac. He's in the kitchen, locked on the cooks like a hawk, firing off questions as he watches their every move. How to get as strong as them, one of the cooks in. He demands to know if he got beaten and what exactly went down. Isaac snaps back that he didn't brawl with anyone, and the cook speculates it had to be some girl, but nobody knows which one. One second he's convinced she's a young lady, and the next, another cook yanks his attention back by telling him to tuck his lip in and dive right in. Isaac shuts it down, but the cook fires back that maybe it's his childhood friend living nearby. Then Isaac shrugs like, "We can say whatever." Even though the moment anyone mentions a girlfriend, he tries to look tough, and when one of the cooks bursts out laughing, he pats Isaac on the back and says, "Yeah, but that girl's still way too young." But if someone is already locked in on the Eagles, they move right into. He bursts into the room and asks what everyone's up to. Yeah, it's Hines. One of the cooks tells him he showed up right on time and this kid's hungry for strength, so he begs Hines to train and take care of him. He figures out she's the Duke's steward, and the cook gushes that her Hines is simply wonderful. So he takes the job after a big circle of the chivalry crowd vouches for him, but the steward tells him not to flatter, and Isaac can't help wondering if the steward's asking for all this muscle for a real reason. He looks like a battle butler ripped straight out of a manga. Then he tells the boy to talk somewhere else and storms off. "I'm Heinz von Driss," he says, the boy. He snaps back, "I'm Isaac Baumgartner," and the butler just smiles like he already knew, so Isaac presses, "Then tell me why I have to get stronger." Isaac blurts that he'll protect my lady no matter what, and the butler just stands there stunned. Stunned, he tells Isaac to picture this, him and Lady Lydia stumbling on a pack of villains, and asks how they'd react. Isaac shoots back that he'd seize her and bolt, and then the butler presses if he'd be by himself, to which Isaac answers, "I would." To escape, the steward demands why. He answers, "Because we might be armed and reinforcements could come," but he can't make that call without enough information about the enemy. The boy in his spot won't stand a chance, so he'll bolt, hide somewhere out of sight, or scramble to a safe place even if he's drowning in loneliness, and that pain sparks one thing: he wants to protect everyone. People crowded right beside him, towering over him like a butler's looming height. He tells him it's all good, then lays out the plan. A couple hours once or twice a week, he'll train martial arts with him. This round will be synced up with Danny. Work's been throwing him a lot lately, but even at his age, he's still got the grit to hit 50 push-ups, 50 squats, 50 core moves, and run 5 kilometers every single day. Isaac grins. Then, after a bit, he slips into the garden, sits down, and starts thinking about what he really wants to eat, because ever since he started training, that hunger hits non-stop between every workout. Before he takes a bite, he clasps his hands together and blurts out a magic-sounding word. Lydia slides up to him and fires, "What does that mean?" And right after the meal, Isaac blurts out another word, "Gakususuma." Lydia leans in and demands, "So what was the one you said before?" After the meal, Isaac leans in and says it's basically a thank you for the food. Then she asks again. Before the meal hits the table, folks usually bow and thank the king for the food, but they might also shout their gratitude to nature and the people who made it possible. She tells him Isaac thinks a little off-kilter, and Isaac shrugs, saying everyone at home is used to it, that it's really just a habit he carried from back then. Lydia nods like, "Yep, that's basically it," and Isaac ends it all with a warm smile. Lydia blurts, "Why are you smiling?" and he grins back, "Because I love how you are." He leans in and listens to every word, then he blurts, "Go on," and asks if she stopped by for no reason, or if something huge just went down. Lydia tells him his mom wants him at tea at 3 o'clock, so yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. She blurts, "Ready," and bolts out of sight, leaving Isaac stuck there wondering if he's about to get reprimanded or if this is something totally different. Isaac shows up at Lydia's side and they settle in at the table with cups of tea steaming between them, while Lydia's mother cradles little Flora close, smiling like everything's finally okay. Isaac has zero clue what's going on. This tea party should feel easy and relaxed, but instead he's stuck feeling awkward and the lady looks like she's embarrassed too. Isaac shoots me a grateful smile for the invite. He's buzzing with excitement to finally taste that legendary black tea with fruit infusion, and when Lydia's mom sees him loving it, she beams and tells him not to hold back next time. Cap's got a hunch he'll show up here again, and Diet can't stop replaying it in her head. She wants to be for him what Gerald was, but it feels so unfair that only he really knows. Isaac's already saying he'd love to come by, and Mom's smiling like everything's finally set. Happy brights up as she tells her the truth. Thanks to him, Daya's finally started rocking dresses in shades that fit her way better. Then it hit him, the colors actually matched. Eddie stood there in a forget-me-not dress and the Duchess rocked purple, and I remember when he started. I met Melody for the first time and she hit me with this flash of bright red, so loud it practically stole the air. Mom swears Gia's stubborn but says it was him who seduced her. And Gia's instantly furious, screaming that nobody seduced her. Isaac goes up to Daya's mother, Mistress Octavia, but Daya cuts in like, "Can we not? It's weird hearing that every single time." She suggests they just call her Vaya, and Isaac instantly admits he's not a fan of long names anyway, saying short ones are way easier for him. He catches Milady glaring at him like she can't stand that a commoner is speaking to her mother so casually. Octavia snaps back, saying, "If she's jealous, let her call you Daya." And when Milady insists she isn't jealous, my mother smiles and says, "Then let her call me too." With a playful, teasing meow energy like a mom cat taunting a furious little kitten, Milady clearly won't love this, but it looks like he'll have to call the Duchess by a simpler name, and he really doesn't want. He hatches a plan to throw Melody off balance, telling him to get his mom to call Akusen. She snaps at him, yelling that he better not call her mom by that weird nickname. Then she catches his reaction and her mom just laughs like it's exactly what she wants. Alda's cheeks flared red again as Isaac leaned in and demanded she pass him a cup. She tells him he already has his cup, and Isaac won't back down. He insists it's no big deal because it's not that hard for him. For her, she thrusts the cup into his hands and he snatches it up fast, then looks her in the eyes and thanks her. He grips the cup in his hands for a few tense minutes, then thrusts it into Daya's hands. She takes a sip and the feeling hits her hard. Tea's gone cold and she leans in like, "So, how'd you pull that off?" The tea burned hot and Isaac grinned, saying he just cooled it with magic. Then he asked Dai if she actually likes it that way and whether cold tea really refreshes her, and Dai immediately hit him with it again. "So how are you using magic without any sound, especially ice magic?" Isaac admits he's got no real pull toward two elements. He's just dabbled in a bunch besides the one he's known for, and after water it's like the story's about to explode into the Anna turned to the wind like it was listening. Via blurts that she's never seen someone sling magic outside their elemental bond before. Daya leans in, baffled. Why's it so silent, and how in the world did he pull that off? Isaac doesn't call it magic, he just claims he prayed to the spirits for help. Daya asks, "Why not just call them with your power?" And Isaac snaps back, "Because I don't have it." He can't even summon them, doesn't even see them. Lydia snaps it into focus. Aristocrats rise or fall by how much mana they burn to summon and wield spirits, so the idea that spirits would just help out on their own. Yeah, it's not that simple. Isaac blurts that he didn't know, but behind the scenes he's convinced this aristocracy is packed with problems, and he can't help but wonder if that makes him strange. Lydia snaps that this isn't the word. Isaac shrugs like everything's fine, and Auxin shoots back that Lydia's dead wrong. And just like that, Mom and Dad didn't say anything weird, so it didn't even throw him off. Lydia was curious, plain and simple. Lydia fires the question, how did Isaac summon spirits to help? Isaac shrugs and says they're used to it, but Lydia can't believe she's the only one who is. Isaac breaks it down for you. This thing only works if you treat it with respect because the spirits can feel it when you do, and Lydia can't help but wonder if. Yeah, that's it, Isaac snaps, offering still needs to be made. Lydia blurts how. Isaac locks eyes with her and says, when I was really little, my mom told me. He couldn't see a single perfume, but the second he tried to figure out whether they ate sweets, the answer hit him hard. Yep, they did. 3 cookies sit on the plate. Isaac shuts his eyes, clasps his hands, and the moment he opens them, he spots 1 cookie already bitten. Lydia and Vaya stare, and when he asks if they've ever seen spirits, he grins so hard, telling them it was hilarious, so feeding them sweets became a full-on habit. Lydia declares it's delicious, and Isaac basically tells her, go on, try it yourself. She just has to figure out exactly what she's offering them, then they'll get it. Lydia nods and agrees, closes her eyes, folds her hands, bows deeply, and snaps her gaze back open. She jolts her eyes open, and there's a tiny spirit munching her cookie like it owns the place. Lydia's stunned. She can't believe she actually pulled it off. Mom. She bursts out laughing and warns, if that perfume gets too strong, it'll be downright terrifying, so don't you dare overdo it. They finish their tea, and Mom practically beams as she admits how thrilled she is that Isaac is here. Then Isaac asks if he can hold little Flora, and Mom nods, saying that she'd been gripping it since the tea party kicked off, so her hands went numb, but she still managed to thank Isaac, then passed Flora into his arms. Lydia? He blares that she wants to be held too, and Isaac snaps back that she should wait until Flora can hold her own head up by herself. Lydia fumes that it's not fair at all, then asks if he's got a brother or sister, because it's obvious he's not used to this. He claims he's the only one at home, and while other families usually have both parents working, the kids end up stuck with him, so neighbors keep coming over to ask. She waves you over, begs you to watch the kids, and giggles that he'll make the perfect son-in-law. Isaac's totally lost, blinking at the whole thing, while Viola bursts out laughing, tells him to ignore her and to just go on and help himself. He gives you a grateful nod, spots the empty plate in front of him, the cookies stacked behind it, and realizes, clutching them in his hands, he's holding Lady's, his younger sister, and he realizes he's trapped for good. Then he snaps his gaze toward you, eyes full of unanswered questions. He pushes the question, what does he want from her, and the answer hits fast, cookies. Lydia's cheeks flare red, and Isaac snaps to it. He's so starving he just said the stupidest thing imaginable, so he stammers an apology and he blames Flora. Lily shoves him a cookie, and he opens his mouth. Lily shoves a cookie into his hands, and he bites into it the second it's there. He takes a bite, chomps it down like it's heaven, then thanks Melody, and she immediately slides over his next serving, ready to spoil him. Isaac blurts out, just one more, is it okay? Lydia nods, he shoots her a quick thank you, and then, cookie in hand, he digs right in. He's already plotting, next time I've got to bring something to thank him, and right when he steps outside, they spot him immediately. Outside, the kids pepper him with, were you sent on an errand? And beg him to come play. He shoots back that he's on break, then one of the girls leans in and asks, so what did you just do? Isaac tells everyone he's been grinding in the gym and even passed teacher Heinz's test, but the moment a smile shows up, someone snaps that he's still skinny and weak. Isaac just shrugs and says he's only getting started. And a girl asks why he suddenly started training at all, and Isaac honestly has no clue. It's a huge deal. The girl claims she can smell that girl right there in the working class crowd. Then they spot Maria, the only girl, and she's just 4 years old. She shouldn't be talking like that, and the whole room breaks out laughing because they swear it's true. Babby, he pushes the question again, what's the big deal? Then he turns to the guys and asks straight up if they want to protect their mothers and sisters too, and he makes one thing clear: nothing's wrong with getting stronger for the people you love. Johan, one of the working boys, swears he'll get stronger for his mom, while Paul grins and vows he'll kick out his sister's boyfriend. Johan tells Isaac that playing knights will toughen him up, but Isaac snaps that he can't, so his mom rushes to handle everything for him, and Maria feels bad yet promises she'll go along and pretend she's fooled just this once. Then Isaac blurts out, what are you even talking about? He bursts back home and grills his mom, asking what else he should buy, and if he can grab even more flour and eggs. Mom asks why, and Isaac bursts out that he wants to bake cookies and deliver them to Melody, because they already spoiled him with tea and sweets, and he just wants to thank them and show how grateful he is. Mom goes wide-eyed at the fact he's even talking about the Duke's daughter. She asks what kind of girl she is, and Isaac tells her mood flips all the time. yet she's still incredibly sweet, charming, and impossible not to like. Mom clocks it instantly. This is 100% his father's bloodline, and she even remembers why she married him in the first place. He barely talks, but when he does, it's always soft and sweet, and somehow he's always picking up new things. That's how her heart got hijacked right into love. He tells Isaac to be careful, presses him again for the reason, and then Mom steps in to explain that he can't say anything that could get twisted in someone else's eyes. Isaac says he always blurts out exactly what he thinks, like my mother does too, and that's why she sent him. Take him shopping and let him grab eggs and flour for the next big thing. He storms out and then decides he'll grab the eggs later. He spots the potatoes, then snaps to attention as he overhears people jawing about something. They stared at a strange glow, clueless about what that light even was. Isaac pushes ahead and then catches a reflection of something right in front of him. A guy stands there like he owns the place. Since blondes are rare in this crowd, he's almost certainly some kind of aristocrat. Isaac leans in and asks the boy if he's lost, but the kid just shuts down and says nothing. Isaac. He questions him again, "Did you get lost?" But the guy just goes dead quiet, then finally mutters that he stepped out on purpose. He can't figure out how to get back, so panic hits. He's sure he's lost. The world around him flickers and sparkles like it's breaking apart. Isaac snaps that something is wrong. The light blasts so bright it stings his eyes, and the boy blurts out a desperate apology. Isaac shoots out an apology, pops his cap off, then slaps it back onto his head, saying he has nothing to be sorry about. He just hates doing something that weird while wearing a cap. He's going to be way better off, so he snatches his hand and drags him along, inviting him to come with him. The kid blurts out, "Where are you taking me?" And Isaac shoots back, "We'll find someone who knows you on the main street. You were supposed to meet them." And then he cuts off mid-sentence like there's more coming. Isaac gets the message. If anything goes down, they've gotta hit the square by the fountain, so he points them that way and then he barrels forward, yanking the boy along with him. The boy blurts out, "So how did you know I was a noble?" And Isaac shoots back, "It's right in your clothes," but the boy snaps, "I didn't dress it up, I just bought the plainest thing there was, no fancy extras." Decorations. Isaac tells him to slap on a wig because normal people almost never have hair this light. He says next time he'll be way more careful. Then Isaac offers to lend him his clothes and tells him to just ask, only for the boy to wonder if it's even true because he insists he can't connect with ordinary people at all. Isaac blurts that his name is Isaac and his dad, Dennis Borgartner, is a gardener. He swears he can track him down by pretending he's got an order for him because the guy remembers he's already crossed paths with the Duke's gardener. Isaac is so insanely smart that he tells you to look away, because the brilliance burning off him is almost too dazzling to handle. The boy blurts that this is his first time contacting someone like him and he's slammed with a ton of brand new feelings. Then Isaac tells him he should be furious, even though Isaac is kind of strange too, way too gentle because that woman would have chewed him out ages ago. The boy tells him his dad trained him to see the world from every angle, to stay hungry for what's new, and that's exactly why he showed up today to watch how regular people live up close. He remembers Lydia saying she might be higher nobility, but with her age she can't answer the people who hate and spit on her, so he tells the boy that only around him it's wall-to-wall adults, so noble kids can't act like real kids, and the boy blurts out his question. Again, how does he even know that? Isaac snaps that he sounds way too grown-up and tells him he needs more friends and real playtime, while the guy just can't stop thinking about that one word. Friends. He grabs Isaac's hand, grips it tight, and asks if they can be friends. Isaac flashes a smile and shuts it down. This isn't just blindness. Something about it disgusts him. He hates how it looks and he thinks like an adult, dead set on doing what he says needs to be done. He laughs out loud and admits he never expected his looks to slam people away so fast. Isaac realizes he's being seriously weird and the boy laughs again, says nobody talks about it, then pauses like, "Oh wait," and finally introduces himself. He takes off his cap and says his name is Leo. Isaac says he's so smart that it turns into rage, and that fury stays lodged in him. They sprint down the street and then, bam, hydrangeas explode into bloom, but something feels off. White hydrangeas are ultra rare and he's staring at them for the very first time. In the village, the hydrangeas shift colors depending on how close they get to magical energy. It's usually orange for the earth element or blue for the water element, and an old man who runs the energy workshop told everyone the ministry had hired them to study hydrangea colors, all to boost the program's diversity. Leo blurts that he finally realized just how rare they are, then asks what element turns them white, but Isaac doesn't even let him finish. The door swings open and a girl steps in, eyes locked on them as she demands to know what they want from her family. He spots Leo's shocked face as he stares at the girl, still not getting why the guy is so stunned. She's gorgeous, sure, but Isaac doesn't look like he crawled out of some freaky circus, and he quickly apologizes, says he's just a gardener's apprentice, and insists these flowers are extremely rare. The girl pushes again, demanding why they're so rare, and Isaac shoots back, asking if they get white hydrangeas every single year and who's responsible for tending them. The girl blurts out yes, and Isaac's stomach drops like he's bombarded her with questions and turned himself into some tiny, panicked pen-like critter. He gently pats the girl on the head and tells her it's his first time ever seeing white hydrangeas, so he had to ask, how on earth do they grow them like this? They're stunning and the girls can't help but glow with it. She's shaking like crazy, insisting she only watered them, and that's it, while Isaac freezes in disbelief until it hits him. She's way more incredible than he ever expected. He leans in and asks Leo what happened to him, then Isaac whacks him across the back of the head and snaps, "What's wrong?" He goes quiet, pleads, "Don't pay any attention," and he gratefully thanks the girl for showing them those stunning flowers, then he says, Leo is heading out. She bows deeply, tells him he'll always be warmly welcomed, and waves them off like it's not really goodbye, and Isaac can't help but think so too. You'd want to ask what her element even is, but Leo shuts that down fast, because there's no point when this girl's swimming in magical power. The power doesn't care about the ground, it answers to her magic alone, blasting it way past the usual limit for a commoner, which is straight up weird. Isaac leans in and asks her what kind of magic she's using. Leo spots a weird element and swears he's never seen anything like it before, either it's pure light or it's something stranger. Then bam, someone barrels out from around the corner. Leo's eyes lock on Matthews, and he realizes the one paying is Matthews. Struggling to breathe, he finally locates them and blurts their location, then whips around and asks Leo who's tagging along with him. Leo points at his companion and tells Isaac, "Got a second?" then asks permission to introduce him. He says this is his brother. Isaac immediately scoffs that they look nothing alike. Matties fires back, saying that because of him he found his younger brother and nearly died from the scare. Isaac is convinced they can't be brothers at all, and Matties just tells him to thank him. So Isaac snaps back, thinks Matties is nothing but a servant or a guard, and insists he has to do what he needs to do. He finishes up at the store, then heads out, snatches the cap off Leo's head and claims it as his. Isaac shoots him a wave and promises he'll see him again, but the question gnaws at him, will Leo even want to keep talking? There's something way too strange about Leo, and Isaac can't bring himself to get any closer. No matter what, he had to grab potatoes and eggs, and the second he walked through the door, he'd bake cookies for the lady. He is in the kitchen, and the cook is shoving her away like she doesn't belong. She snaps, why is Isaac allowed to do that? The cook just smirks and says there's a world of difference between her and that guy. If he takes a little damage, he shrugs it off, but if she gets hurt, panic claws at him and he knows he won't be able to handle it. Lydia insists she fully understands. She steps outside, shuts the door tight behind her, and the cook just sits there thinking the hostess has finally gone. Everything's flipped upside down ever since the student showed up, and Lydia's convinced she can't bake cookies anymore. So how's she gonna pay him back? Their meeting tonight just handed over. He reacts to the bag on the spot and demands Melody take it. She asks what it is, and he shoots back with a sweet memory, how she used to spoil him with cookies and tea, so he bakes up homemade cookies to say thank you, and then Turns out they're huge, probably a total nightmare to munch, but he's still dying to find out what they actually taste like. She takes one bite of the cookie, lights up, and blurts that it's delicious, nothing like the stuff from those pastry shops, and then she's stunned he can pull off food this tasty, and she turns to him, wondering, so you're telling me you can make it this good? She loved it, and now she stays quiet, plotting in her head that she'll repay him no matter what it costs. All she knows about Isaac is this: he's totally into gardening. When he's eating, he actually listens to his dad's opinion, and you can see the smile light up his face. Then instantly, he gets irritated by every shiny thing he lays eyes on. And that's the part she still has no clue about Isaac. Don't spill a word about yourself. He won't say a thing until she finally asks, and honestly that silence is on him because now she's fired up and ready to take down everyone. She shows up in his life asking for exactly what she needs, then slips into his garden, only for him to turn around and beg his father for permission to let her join him. He yanks her along by the hand and Daya blurts out where they're headed. He just grins and says, "Don't ask, follow me." They'll see it soon. His grip tightens until it hurts. Do you really think so? Frank's hand feels warmer, and it's way bigger than hers. They're right on the edge of it, just a tiny bit more, and they push forward, closing in on the thicket. Isaac yanks her attention with a call to follow. Don't you dare fall behind, yet she just can't wrap her head around it. She has to push through because she's still rising, even as she can't stop wondering why fate tagged her as some noblewoman in the first place. She's got to climb up here. Isaac keeps yelling that there's hardly anything left, that she's already almost there. Then she spots something blazing with light, slams her eyes shut tight, and when she opens them, Isaac points to a stunning fountain and boasts that it's all his. He can't tell if this patch in the garden has always been here. Isaac's told that his grandfather and father trained here as students, and now his father finally lets him in, where generations of Baumgartners mastered the art of gardening. Isaac's itching to try everything, so he's going to buy seeds with his hard-saved money. Lydia presses for answers again, and honestly, it's wild he's told her all of this when I just assumed it would stay a secret, and now she begs, right to my face. It won't help, she still begs to turn this place into the kind of garden she loves, and Isaac pleads, "Please, keep it secret, I've already gotten so much from you." Then he thanks her. The melody rings out like a promise of something magical, and Isaac can't stop grinning. He swears it's the best birthday gift his father ever gave him. Lydia leans in and asks when his birthday is, and Isaac says in May. Jen blurts that was a month ago, then she turns to him and asks what he'd want for his next gift. Isaac tells everyone he's gotten everything he could ever want from her. Those handwritten letters lit up his heart, and that's why they're his prized treasure. Every time she smiled, Lydia lit up. Her heart soared so hard that she couldn't help but wish something too. She wishes him a happy birthday, then grins at him like she's just won the whole world. He shoots her a grateful thanks, and Lydia and Isaac lean in to read a little more. Nvidia claims he reads like it's a motionless grind, saying you've got to put your soul into it. But even Katrina reads circles around him. He then asks her if she can read on her own, and turns out, besides Jet, she can read all by herself. Or else he won't learn a thing. She grabs the book, points it out, and tells them, "Next, we're reading this one." Isaac tells them he's betting they'll keep reading for real, and while he flips through the book, he's so worn out he blurts that every one of its stories is about princes. Lydia tells Isaac the curse is getting lifted and the evil spirits are getting crushed, so yeah, it's crazy romantic, and then Isaac blurts, "Wait, why does everyone's hair look like it's glowing?" She tells him this is just how Isaac rolls, because he's royalty. They all spotted the Duke's hair too, like it was showing itself in plain sight. She blurts out that Grandma Papa was a queen, so of course she carries herself like royalty, and that's why the Duke looks so radiant too. Then she just says bye. Her hair is way more gorgeous than that shine, and it doesn't glare into her eyes as much. Agrees to read this now right this second. Lydia rages and orders him to keep reading his whole life, right up until the end of the century, and he'll try to pour even more feelings into it. Katrina breaks into a giggle and blurts out, "So you're saying it's just a curse?" She tells Lydia, "Mrs. Octavia is calling you," and Lydia strides into her mother's room asking what her mom wanted to talk about. Octavia leans in and tells her daughter, "I got an invitation." Yanking weeds out of the ground while the scorching sun beats down on us. He can't outrun them, and it feels like the line just never ends. If only he had an assistant. That estate isn't split through inheritance, so of course it sprawls that huge. In the capital, people even brag that it's a real nightmare for gardeners, and the ones who actually want to work aren't exactly welcomed, so he's the lone student, and he's convinced that if he sings, it'll drag his spirits back up, because long ago his little sister used to make him belt out karaoke with her. Now Lily shows up. She tells him the spirits are totally into the songs. Isaac shoots back, "Can you see them?" She shakes her head. He can't see them from here, he can only feel them close, and then right behind his head something starts playing. Lydia confirms it, then leans in, "What were you just humming?" It sounds like a military march or an opera, but Isaac insists it's from an anime. Lydia demands the title. Isaac only shrugs and says his sister showed it to him, so he's not totally sure, but it sure sounds like the kind of thing you'd belt out during battle, and Lydia presses him again. Again, he's talking about which sister, because if Isaac isn't an only child, he's totally stunned and the words just burst out of him before he can even think. He swears she's from a past life, so yeah, she's like that. Lydia realizes Isaac has a sister, but Isaac can't read the vibe, so he demands she explain what happened and what she's trying to say, and Lydia finally snaps back that she's offended. She pulls out an envelope and drops the news that there's an invitation inside. Then my mom hands it to me right today. This is a royal invitation to the birthday ball for the crown prince, and Isaac is caught completely off guard. She shoots her a good luck, and then, finally, she gets the shot to see the prince in his normal stomping grounds, but Tess shuts it down fast. Not now. This is her big first public moment, her debut at the heir to the throne's ball, and she can barely dance, yet Isaac tells me it'll all be fine. She just can't wrap her head around how anything could be okay, and Isaac keeps insisting she's absolutely wonderful. Don't worry, everything's going to be all right. She's the Duke's most precious daughter, and they're asking Lydia again, demanding the truth. Her parents won't be let down, and Isaac swears they'll be proud of her. Lydia asks again if everything will really be okay, and he tells her not to fret, just stay herself, so she presses, "Do you truly believe that?" And he answers, "There's nothing to worry about." It's weird, so weird it basically screams, "Nope, that's not what this is." A compliment, yet I'm still not used to seeing Milady like this. She's trembling with nerves, and Isaac is right there, urging her to let loose and actually have fun. Milda grabs his hand and yanks him along, demanding he follow. Panic is written all over her face. Isaac shoots me a reminder, the Duke is showing up. Milady insists it's safer if he's right there with her, and Isaac shuts it down. He refuses to go because he just can't. He's just a commoner and she knows it, so he turns to her and begs her to agree. "He'll look like a scarecrow dressed up in decent clothes." Multi just let out a chuckle. After apologizing for the impossible request, he tells her not to take it personally, then can't help but wonder why she's stressing over everything so much. She swears that thanks to her rank she'll finally get to dance with the crown prince, but her dance teacher has never been impressed, and now that thought has her panicking. She's already acting like a terrible partner, and with just a month left until the ball, Isaac urges her to breathe, relax, and promises they'll train together and get ready side by side. But she can't let her parents catch her hiding her failures, so she swears the lessons will stay secret. Then he grins and says, "I know the perfect place," and they're going to make it work. Lydia's stunned to hear they're going to secretly rehearse the dances, and Isaac's pulling me along to a mysterious spot. And he snaps at me asking what's wrong with him because something's off. This is an abandoned summer pavilion. Lydia nods along, and that's when we finally get here. Secret dances get rehearsed right here, while a summer pavilion looms beside another building that almost never sees the light, sitting unused because it's totally out of season. Isaac insists they'll be fine, and she asks if he's just trying to lift her spirits. Then let him be her partner. Isaac admits it straight up, he can't dance a step. Lydia vows she'll teach him the basics, plus the best partner has to match her height, Isaac. Isaac snaps that it's not his idea, but he still goes along with it just to make the lady happy. Hines is putting them through a brutal combat training gauntlet. That's where Isaac calls it quits for today because he swears he doesn't even sweat anymore since they yanked out his sweat glands along with his emotions. Hines clocks the change, sees Isaac standing straighter now, and asks, "What's he even up to?" Isaac has no idea what to say, so he blurts out that he's been warming up before the strength training. Hines blinked in shock, demanded he keep going with that same energy, and then made sure the time meant for talk got swallowed by activities instead. He ties on an apron so he won't mess up her clothes, then throws himself into the waltz basics until he's got them down cold. Maybe this is the start of something bigger. Maybe that's exactly why his posture straightened up, and then, the day before it's supposed to happen, he leans in and asks Melody if he actually managed to help her. She shoots back, "Of course, I always did it myself," and then, right beside him, she starts moving like she's suddenly found her rhythm, way better than before. Gio can't stop smiling even as nerves hit him hard. He admits the classes were insanely useful. That's why he's so grateful to her. Isaac leans in and tells her he's cooked up something special for her as her reward. A tiny charm for luck. He hands it to her like a promise because he can't go with her, so he passes his talisman over and tells her, "Take this." He could. They built a tiny greenhouse just for her, but the ribbon's flimsy, so if it doesn't hit her right, she can toss it without a second thought. Lydia says she'd never toss this aside, not for anything, because this is incredible. She makes a promise, and you can feel it changing everything. Tomorrow he's going to do everything he can. Isaac tells her not to worry. It's too much because she'll get to see the heir to the crown with her own eyes. Lydia even promises she'll be okay if anything happens, and then she can't stop thinking about. He talks about her, then instantly drops his guard the moment she introduces herself. Isaac even mutters that she's a little condescending toward him, and Lydia shoots back, telling him that actually. He gives him praise but still doesn't get the whole noble obsession, dances, shamans, grand balls, all that honor nonsense. Yet deep down, he clings to the hope that every feeling he poured into the talisman. She throws her full support behind her, praying Lydia gets to step onto the dance floor with the prince, because that would be the most breathtaking dance of the whole night. My father usually darts to Diameter with apologies, but they always wait until after tea. Only Flora's been born, so that break is gone, and Dia tells him loud and clear not to apologize. She's over the moon to finally get a younger sister, and now they're rushing straight to the king. The carriage jerks to a stop, the Duke thrusts out his hand and tells his daughter to take it, then she's labeled princess, and Jep instantly clocks the mistake, snapping that titles like that don't fly in front of his royal highness. Her father catches on right away and without missing a beat, insists they call her his instead. Whispers crawl up behind them as people mutter that it's Duke Ernest, the man who rules 3 ministries, and yep, he's even more handsome than they promised. Someone blurts, "Who's that girl?" And when they look over, she's right there, looking like a sweet little doll. They step into the palace, and right behind them, the low buzz of murmuring voices starts to creep through the air. He notices she's not nearly as nervous as he expected, and she blurts that she's freaking out, she's terrified of messing up in front of the royal family. But the moment he's right beside her, her stormy nerves fade, she calms instantly, and my father couldn't be prouder. The girl clamps his hand, and her father promises they'll leave the moment she's ready. But he's already convinced they've got to bolt right now, because Diane realizes they haven't even greeted the prince yet. Her father lets out a heavy sigh and tells her he doesn't want her meeting him, so Dia fires back, "Why?" The Duke admits he only caught sight of him for a blink, but from how people talk, you can tell he's got an absolutely spotless reputation. Even with his age, he's sharp as a blade, and everyone treats him like he means business. They're already betting that if this keeps going, he'll end up becoming the wisest of them all. Jess swears she heard he's got shiny hair and eyes that sparkle, and she insists his inner world is just as magical. The Duke finally says yes, but he's not. "I want to go there." Then he spots a ribbon with a rose on her hand and snaps, "You didn't have that on before." She tells him it's a lucky charm, and the Duke grins, calling her lovely. Then Isaac says the truth, "Only you know what fits you best." She blushes hard. This water magic pulls off the impossible, reviving a dried flower into the exact opposite of what it was, yet the whole process is so intricate and brutal that every second feels painfully earned. "My dad swears it's an incredible trick and I should chase down how he pulled it off." Gia blurts out, "Why?" and the Duke just smirks, saying he sounds tactless. She's got an amazing friend, and she instantly nods and agrees. They burst into the hall and someone shouts for the Duke, because he's here too. This is Zinvarik, so the herald leans in and asks if he came with his daughter too. Zinvarik nods and says, "Yep, I'm the Vice Knight of the Royal Order." He introduces himself as Zinvarik von Oghaste, and swears it's a privilege just to meet a lady like her. Then Zinvarik bursts into laughter when Lydia von Ernest tells him she heard her father talking about his departure, because he insists it happened right while they were under his care. Jax locks eyes with his daughter, then introduces her, Tordelis, to the room. Tordelis straightens up and declares she's Marquis Augustus Tordelis's eldest daughter, and this is "Nice to meet you, the young lady from that serious duchy." When the Duke grins, he tells her she looks like a tiny rabbit, then reassures her not to worry so much. Zenorik orders the Duke to stop trying to lure his daughter with his looks, insisting, "I'm the one who seduces, so don't tempt her with me." His wife, watching the way he reacts, Mr. Delis realizes this is the very first time she's got to talk to a girl her age. She doesn't want to fight it, but she wants to be her friend, so Tortles grabs her hand and tells her she doesn't deserve the honor of being with her. Zenvarik and Gerald are sweeping the room with their eyes, and it hits fast. There are just as many boys as girls here. If they were adults, it would look totally shabby, in Gerald's. He claims he didn't bring the Viad because Flora is too tiny, and Zinvarik smirks that he's here only because Lisa wanted to get a look at his majesty. A bright welcome tune fills the air and the crowd freezes instantly. Everyone drops into a respectful bow. Gertrude was the first princess, Jermaine took the second throne, and Klaus ended it all as the third prince. King Traget steps into the hall too, and he commands everyone, ladies and gentlemen alike, to raise their hands. He thanks everyone for showing up at the ball for his son's birthday, urges them to soak up the celebration, and admits he's already stolen enough attention from today's star, so without wasting a second, he introduces them to the event's hero. Then the boy steps forward and lets the whole place light up. Radiance stretch in every direction, and as he steps in, the guests explode into applause. The boy introduces himself as Roy Leonard, then grins and thanks everyone for showing up today in this brutal heat to celebrate his birthday. Even if he's still young and not fully grown yet, he's determined to back his father and do something that helps everyone, begging to use his powers for the good of the country, and loving every second of the chance to meet his young allies who will stand up and support it. In the future, it pushes everyone to sit down and talk about the country's next chapter together. Everyone's clapping. Zenvarek spots it instantly. They're drawn to his looks. The herald, though, smirks and thinks he's the only one who's noticing. Gerald watches Dio stare at the prince with pure admiration, and panic grips him. What if Dio snaps and stops calling him the best? Zenvarek, though, snaps back, telling Gerald to grin and be happy. She even said that. Then the prince strides straight into the hall. He strides up to the Duke and demands, "So you really are Duke Duke?" The Duke answers. He nods right away and beams, saying it's a huge honor just to meet the prince, and everyone's smiling because they're thrilled to welcome him in. He grins, says he's heard every word about his achievements, and points out how good he looks today. Gerald eats it up, especially when those praises come straight from their lords, because everyone's staring right at them. The prince snaps his attention to the girl standing right beside him. She asks who's there, and the Duke drops the bombshell, his daughter Lydia. "I'm so happy to meet you," she says, introducing herself as Lydia von Ernest, then turning to the prince with one sweet wish, "Happy birthday." He studies her in silence then. Then he boldly asks if he can invite her to dance, and Lydia's face lights up. She tells him it's her honor, and the two of them glide onto the dance floor together. The prince clocked it. She's an absolute killer dancer, and turns out his pick wasn't luck at all. He admits she's shocked he's doing this for the first time because he seems like a pro, but he tells her the truth. He's been taking private lessons. She says it's the same for her. Young nobles barely get any real chances to connect, and that's why he begged his father to let him have this opportunity tonight. It feels like someone's just using him. Honestly, that's the kind of thing you should expect, because the payment is. He keeps his eyes on every word she says, then tells her the adults can't hear them so she can finally talk freely. He even asks her to call him by his name. She grins, tells him she gets it, and then, right then, she calls him Roy. Enzo practically beams with relief, convinced Joe is the one true pick. Aya demands to know why he picked her. He swears it's because she talked to him in a whole different way. Then he tried talking to others, but they either bounced with too much excitement or got so glued to the conversation that nothing went smooth. Just when he was about to surrender, he crossed paths with her, and she lit that spark back up in him so he didn't lose hope. Jeff thanked him, and she remembers it. Isaac told her straight up that having someone you can talk to is absolutely everything. She's also relieved she finally gets to talk to him. They wrap up the dance, and the whole crowd erupts in applause. After the ball, they slam into the car and race back. Dia leans in and asks her father, "Was it rude?" He even praises her as a fine lady, and it turns out the heir to the throne is even more. She was even sweeter than the rumors, and with that talisman in her hands, she stayed totally calm right there with Roy, even through the dance. Her father leans in and asks, "Will you really be happy as the crown prince's bride?" She can't believe her eyes. She swears it's straight out of a fairy tale and whispers that this has to be her wildest dream come true. Her father demands honesty. Today's birthday boy must pick a potential bride, and Diab has slid into the running, making it possible she could become a princess. Are you still shocked by the fact that she can turn into a bride at any moment? She says today is nothing but a birthday celebration for the prince, and my father backs it up like, sure, of course it was. The king set up that banquet for a reason. Maybe the prince already saw it coming, maybe he didn't. He remembers the prince snapping that it felt like he was being used, and even knowing that, he still showed up. The Duke claims they're only talking about this now, but if she wants it, she can count on him to back her all the way. Night hits, she crawls into bed, and outside the window the birds keep singing like they own the sky, while DA still can't knock sleep loose. Ever since she set her sights on becoming the bride everyone wanted, it felt like the whole world was a dream. Then her father told her, "Call me the moment you decide." If she hesitates, he'll shut it down and walk away. Her father can't defy the king's command, then boom, someone starts knocking at her door. Katrina bursts in, greets Jill with a cheerful good morning, then drops the bomb that Jill looks absolutely wiped out. He tells him Isaac won't show up today and asks if she should take a break after lunch, but Gio's fury flares. Isaac not coming feels like a slap in the face. But she wouldn't want to see him, not even if he showed up, and that picture proves it. Why she has no clue what to do next. She says that, strides right up to him and spots Isaac in the garden. He asks how the party went and whether they danced well, and she grins as she tells him her father even praised her, and that she didn't just have fun, she made a real friend. It hypes her up, saying she's crushing it, and then he leans in and asks, "Hey, have you seen the Wild Prince yet?" Jed freezes up, blurted out that he's just incredible, like some line ripped straight from a book, while she scrambles to find the words, trying to get Isaac to hear her. But then she flips her decision and keeps her mouth shut. Tonight, she slips out to the balcony and can't stop asking herself why she never told Isaac she was a bride candidate, because until today she'd spilled every secret to him. Daya's stuck in confusion. She's grateful she got chosen, but she can't figure out why she didn't tell Isaac. Then she keeps quiet, she has no clue what to say to him. Catherine asks if it's weird that she never told him, and as she says it, she can't stop thinking about it. Judd doesn't spill everything, he gives you the power to choose who gets to hear their most secret secrets. You might feel guilty for hiding it, but even if you don't, it's still not really a secret, she asked. Lydia, does she really want to spill it to Isaac? Gee, she's still not sure. Then Katrina grabs her hand and begs for Mr. and tells her to trust her instincts and do whatever she thinks is right. And no matter what happens, she'll always stand right by her side. Even if she can't do a thing, he still shoots her a grateful nod. Jeff thanks her and says she's finally got it sorted now, so even if she can't share it just yet, it still feels way better. One day, she'll finally spill everything to him. Isaac runs into Leo on the street again, and Leo rushes in with an apology for vanishing for so long. Isaac snaps at him, calls him an idiot, and fires back, "What's in that letter and didn't he say to send it?" He snaps that he couldn't even read it, then tells Leo not to put the average guy on a pedestal, because he didn't think it through at all, which makes him the real fool. He should have penned the letter way clearer, but he couldn't make out a single word. Still, if Leo was here to soak up the lives of regular folks, that was more than enough. Leo vows to go to any length and do absolutely everything he can. Isaac realizes he's basically glowing just from smiling, and it freaks him out, especially since he's stuck in a wig and being watched under guard. Leo cracks up and teases, "So it's true you look more like Matthew's brother now?" Isaac clocks that, yeah, it's way better than last time, but the clothes fit nobody, nothing but trouble, so he yanks him over, shouting for him to follow, and when Isaac asks where he's headed, he makes it crystal clear, he's going to his house. They finally burst through the door and their mother greets them with a smile, telling them they aren't exactly rich, but insisting they make themselves at home anyway. Mom swore he hauled home a nobleman's friend, and she practically decided that this lady would be the first noble guest to ever grace their place. Isaac tells everyone in the city that the streets are way too dangerous for beautiful milady, and that they don't even know him like friends do. Then he yanks Leo aside, calls him to follow, and promises to hand over his own clothes. Leo tails him into the room, and Isaac pulls out commoner clothes and pushes them at Leo, urging him to change. Then Isaac steps out and tells Leo to call if he needs anything. He's right by the door, holding his breath, waiting for Leo to finish changing. Then Leo calls him and says, Isaac can't stop staring. Leo's insanely good, and then Isaac blurts out, "Why, Leo?" He admits the name he goes by could be fake, then tells him his real name anyway, and even though they aren't friends, he stays calm, stays respectful, and still lets him in. Isaac insists that if he's the one asking, he can't be the villain, because if Modus didn't know his identity, he never would have let him roll along with him in the first place, and Isaac is certain the noble elite have methods to dig up the truth about. The guy steps in and helps him, mostly because he's a total problem. Leo bursts into laughter. He's totally into being called problematic. Isaac swears he's got a twisted sense of humor, and when it lands, he just bows his head and apologizes, saying she's honestly the strangest person. Bottom line, Leo, this is way beyond unusual. He storms out of the room, grinning, saying he's so glad they met. Then Isaac shoots him a look. But Leo leans in and demands to know what's wrong, and he's fuming about how it's not unfair at all. His clothes are the problem, and he still looks insanely good in anything he wears. Then someone blurts out an apology, scans the area, and there's Marius. This is a hometown kid. Maria comes in and asks. Leo grins at her and goes, Maria, and when he hears it, his whole face lights up like, yeah, I'm really glad to meet you. Isaac insists it's Leo. Maria freezes, completely baffled, then he blurts it out at the top of his lungs, it's Leo. Isaac didn't see this coming at all. Leo shows up and tells him the truth. In the end, Isaac didn't win, he lost to Leo. Isaac asks Dio if he wants to play with the kids or just stand outside and watch, and Dio snaps that it's way better to play than to stare, so Isaac agrees and drags him outside. Outside, the boys crowd up and demand who he is since they've never seen him before. Then the boy flashes a grin and says, I'm Leo, happy to meet you, and the boys fire off their own names too. Paul and Johan step in, state who they are, and straight up ask Isaac if he's got feelings for you. They all think he's his friend, but Leo bursts out, nope. Then he laughs as they're about to start, and Johan yells that he won't cut him a break. Still, since Isaac's the one behind him, Leo thanks him and admits he really likes it. He cracks up, and right then Johan dares him to settle it, hide and seek, winner takes it all. But he doesn't know this place at all. Leo grins and says that's exactly why he's here with him. So you can prowl the streets and hunt for a spot to duck from the enemy at the same time. One move, 2 missions done, and Isaac basically admits he's taking this game way too seriously. There's nowhere for them to duck, just 2 enormous things closing in, leaving them with 0 places to hide. Isaac spots a patrol of guards marching down the streets and fires the question at Leo, do you know them? And Leo admits, yeah, and you're in serious trouble if they spot you. Nowhere to run, Isaac slips his finger toward the far side where he can disappear, and they duck into an alley. Isaac plants himself in front of Leo, blocking his path and telling him to stay silent, because they can't be caught yet while they... In the deep shadow, those shadow spirits lurk, and you can beg them to cover you up. They vanish you in an instant while the guards stroll right past, claiming they're keeping watch during it all. Holidays turn into a total nightmare with food stacked everywhere, and yeah, the alcohol is probably amazing too. It's a full-on royal celebration, and one of them pipes up that he's on duty, telling everyone to keep their opinions to themselves. Isaac and Leo realize they've somehow slipped out, like the trails vanished behind them. He blurts out an apology and swears it looks like he can tap into Shade's magic. Then Isaac steps in, saying Shade's true element isn't something else at all, it's water. That compatibility isn't even close to 0. If he's a nobleman, he's packed with energy, ready to do way more than before. Leo promises, I'll try next time. Time drags him forward, and with it he suddenly soaks up brand new answers, so Isaac blurts out, what are you even talking about, since they're literally just playing right now. And Leo never shuts up about learning, like it has to be done all the way because that's what being a kid is all about. Leo nods along, and suddenly he realizes he can. Johan suddenly broke down and burst into tears, and then he snapped at him, like the anger came out before he even figured out why. That prince has fully gone streetwise, and Dolly leans in to ask Catherine how many hours are left before the next lesson. He fires back that she's got 1 whole hour. Lydia heads out for a quick walk, but Catherine keeps her guard up. She used to dread running into Isaac, yet now everything's finally calm. Now he clocks in at. In the garden, leaves rustling like secrets. Lydia calls his name, so Isaac steps in, tells her she's right on time, and pulls her close by the hand. He sweeps her into his garden, and Lydia presses him again, asking what it's like in there. He broke it down and spelled out exactly what it was. He planted the seeds himself, and she leans in, staring at the clover flowers, asking if he really did it all by himself. He invites her to wander through the flowers. Right there, then she questions if it's really okay, because she won't ruin anything he fought so hard to create. Then he grabs her hand, pulls her in, and whisks her onto the dance floor. Hands ignite and they dance. Isaac realizes dancing here feels impossible, then Lydia nods and agrees. She demands to know why he's doing all of this, and he smirks, because it's a secret. She had something burning to say, but she swallowed it and promised, I'll say it later. Isaac tells you he'll fill you in next time, and right then they're dancing through the clover flowers like the whole world is theirs. 2 days later, the prince shows up at the Duke's house, and the Duke wastes no time thanking him for traveling all that way. The prince swallowed his pride and apologized for the interference, because all he could think about was getting to that legendary garden. Then the Duke promised he'd ask Lydia to come along with him. The prince thrusts a book into his hands and orders him to tell the Duke to seriously consider the proposal, and the Duke flips through the notes, then double-checks, asking if he understood it all right. It's signed in front of their majesties, and he insists it's only a draft, but the Duke fires back that he'll respond before he leaves. Then he turns to Lydia asking if he can trust her, and she nods right on cue. She summons the prince to the garden where a tea table waits perfectly set for them. The prince can't believe it, flowers bloom here even in autumn, and the way this wild place behaves feels like it loves shocking people way more than the castle ever did. Lydia's sure the gardener will be thrilled to hear everything he just said. At last it was just them, no more distractions. Lydia leaned in and said she needed to talk to her father about the proposal they'd thrown out earlier. Prince Roy makes it crystal clear he has to do this because Duke Ernst runs the whole education system here, and that's why he showed up today. Since she already gets how the education system works, he can't help it. These are selfish thoughts and he knows it. His father will get it the second it's explained, so that's why he went to the Duke today. He blurts out whether it'd be a disaster if His Highness finds out, and the prince snaps back that it's insanely risky, because his father would 100% step in. Catch him before it's too late. One day he'll wear the crown, and when that power and duty hit, he won't back down. But he's got one burning dream he refuses to let slip away. To pull this off, he's gonna need a partner, Lydia. She blurts out, "Is it really you, my partner?" Roy nods and tells her this visit is thanks for showing up to the celebration, then leans in like it's urgent. He came to talk to his potential fiancée and he still needs to. He's got to find a bride before the entrance, or he's going to cause a full-on scene. The Arrest family is stacked, right from their status to their bloodline, perfect for what's coming next, and that's the part that matters most. If he was picking a bride for political reasons, he'd go straight for her. He tells her she's got time, then pushes for getting to know each other first, trying to figure out whether we can trust her. She refuses to live the same old script, while the prince cheers like it's the greatest idea ever, because she's got every right to choose her own way. But she can use it to pull off the same move. Lydia tells the prince she needs a moment to think, and the prince grins like that's perfectly fine, almost like he's already setting the date. Diaz tells everyone, "I'm still in the running," because the prince lets her share the news with whoever she wants. You don't have to keep secrets from your friends. And he's trying to use this to stay in touch with Duke Ernst. Lydia clocks it instantly that he's just using her as an excuse, but Roy grins and gushes to her anyway, so the Duke will. She insists it won't make a difference, she'll still give him all he needs, and when the prince hears that, he thanks her. Lydia thinks he's a soft-hearted guy, and the prince leans in demanding to know if she doesn't love him. But she shoots back that it's actually the exact opposite. If Roy is really her fiancé, then the danger is ramping up fast. There's no way the risks aren't skyrocketing. She called off the engagement on the spot, and family troubles were the reason Roy agreed to it. Roy paused to think hard because every move he made would shape what came next. After all, Roy was a man of real respect. She's stunned with how big this is. Being engaged to the prince is the biggest honor of her life, and now she can't even find the words to say to him. Then Isaac steps in. She asks, "Are you okay?" But her eyes look miles away, so Lydia drops the truth. She was just lost in thought. He tells her he's ready to spill his secret today and sweeps her along with him. He tells her, "Let me cheer you up," and then boom, he spots a 4-leaf clover. Clover froze in her garden, then her shock hit like lightning. Isaac blurts out that it's packed with them. Everyone here was totally normal, right up until she slipped through. She's even more stunned, and Isaac. She tells him, "Step on the clover," and a fresh leaf springs up. Then she stares and asks why he never bothered to do it himself. Music insists it's got to be her, because the moment she walks away, luck starts trailing right behind. He has no idea why she's upset, but if she keeps pushing like this, everything's still going to be okay. Lydia is sobbing her heart out, and Isaac is completely clueless about what's going on. It all happened so fast. He only wanted to support her, and when he spoke up, he admitted he'd been insensitive and that he regretted not knowing a thing. Lydia still feared she'd made the wrong choice, but Isaac. It felt like happiness was chasing her right behind her, and his words lit a fire in her chest, pushing her to give it everything and keep moving forward. If those words finally came true, that would be pure magic. Happy lights up and tells Isaac she once crossed paths with a prince at a party. Turns out he wasn't just any pretty face, he was an amazing dancer and genuinely kind. Brilliant, she got picked as a possible bride, then fate brought them back together and he looked her over and said she was the perfect match. Candidate dove headfirst into books full of brides and princes, but even she never dreamed she'd end up playing the role herself. One of them she froze in shock, completely clueless on what to do because it was a huge honor. Isaac nods along and with a grin he says, "Yeah, of course it was." Stunned, he blurts out that he hadn't even dreamed about love or marriage. Then Isaac smirks that she's younger and still basically a kid, and she was right to panic, because dealing with this, plus everything they're teaching about marriage and love, is no joke. It's only natural to worry. He asks her if this is the final decision, and Lydia tells him Sir Roy told her to really think it through, while Isaac urges you to take your time. Drags on. Good news, the prince isn't a villain, but she doesn't have to sprint into some impossible choice right now. She just needs to stay in the moment and things will work out. She nods along with him and tells him she's still in the running. Isaac says, as long as she's smiling, everything feels okay, until he blurts, why do I only care about you? Isaac snaps back that he doesn't know the prince, and instead of chasing the mystery, he decides the only thing that matters is making her smile. She remembers her father demanding one thing: she must tell him every time she makes a choice, because if she doesn't want to, he'll shut it down on the spot. Yet Katerina pushes her to trust her own judgment and do what feels right. She had no idea that so many people were cheering her on and wishing her happiness, and honestly, she was insanely lucky. She leans in and begs Isaac to let her carry the clover home. Lydia can't wait to turn that lucky clover into handmade bookmarks. Then he makes sure to pass along her heartfelt thanks to everyone. Good news for Isaac, she's totally clueless what to do because he's grown up now and there aren't any books left, and he says that he's a fool while he's been daydreaming that he's growing a garden for her. The truth is he should have run somewhere else before it even had time to bloom. I just want him to grow up already. At night he's trapped in dreams of his past life, then he jolts awake. He hops up, dashes to the sink and starts washing her face. Milady keeps it all sneaky, and it hits him like a cold wall. Months have already crawled by since she told him about her engagement with. Their bond hasn't really shifted since then, but Milady now slips into the garden way less, because the prince catches her in meetings twice, and back when he was just counting the months, curiosity gnawed at him. He'd never laid eyes on a prince, and his old life only knew one thing: a love wedding that brought ordinary people together. Here, while politics, he barely knew the first thing about it. Marriage. Milady and Prince are younger than him, and that makes the whole idea hit like a gut punch. How could he even think about tying the knot so early? He knows he shouldn't step in, because their values clash, and that's a line he can't afford to cross. He knows the truth, but he still pushes her toward marriage, demanding love, not obligation. Milady burst into tears, and he went totally stunned. Sure, they were happy tears, but he still couldn't stand seeing her like that. She's breaking down in tears and he's begging her, swear you'll always stay happy. Nobody like him can't change a thing, but he clings to one wish: she'll find real happiness. He's ready to admit this is all he's got. Then Lydia's calling him right now. He blurts out, who are you talking to? And Isaac grins, a rabbit. She asks again which rabbit, and Isaac points it out, right there, and when she gushes about how cute it is and reaches out to pet it, Isaac yanks the rabbit out of her reach. Isaac tells her it's packed from the snow he shoveled, dirty snow, and if she grabs it barehanded, frostbite can hit fast, so she can't touch it because it's swelling. Isaac can't stop wondering if she actually loves him. Then he asks himself if it ever mattered that he sent her into that room. Still, he plans to craft it out of pure snow, and he won't bring it inside. He'll leave it out on the terrace. She grins, demands a promise, and swears she'll beg her father to use magic so he won't melt. Isaac nods, and then he makes a hair. Sem fires off a quick question to Milady: how's she doing, and did the prince show up yesterday? She nods and says yes, he looked amazing in a crisp white dress, while Isaac can't stop thinking about her showing up here. Milady's back again, and I swear she probably thinks it's not okay to gush about her handsome prince, so instead of talking to him about her mother or Lady Catherine, she tells him all about him, says Sir Roy might have a sister, same hair color, and she. Lydia's so sweet it's unreal. She's showing her friend and her idol the same warm smile, and somehow that spark turns into real friendship because he looks genuinely happy. Shia admits she already told the prince about Flora, and Isaac clocks it instantly. When she talks about him, she turns all soft and sweet, like that smile was made for her. But somehow he never fails to get under her skin, so she snaps at him. Say that again, what did you just say? Isaac quickly speaks up like, wait, did he just say the wrong thing? Nope, you've got it wrong. He rushes in with an apology, swearing he's listening to every word, and Milady snaps. That's enough for today. Isaac apologizes again, mumbling that maybe he said something weird, then watches her walk away completely lost, wondering what he messed up this time. He vows to be extra careful, and then again he He finally got it, stop chasing tomorrow and live in the now, so he vowed to catch Milady's smile and hear her voice as much as he could. Then his father walked in, and in the garden he told him straight. He never dodged a single day of work. He's just trying to jump in and help out with the greenhouse work too. My father refuses. Isaac insists he can't let Lydia come here in the cold, and my father finally gives in. Isaac even tells her he's desperate to grow up as soon as possible. He's chasing his dream of becoming a gardener, even if people don't treat it like a real profession. Because he started young, he figures he can master it fast, but he still can't shake the fear of whether he'll actually pull it off. Before Melody's wedding? Yeah, no, probably not. Don't sweat the future right now, just buckle down, work your hardest, and give it everything you've got. Lydia, close your eyes and hit the pillow now. She truly believes that handing it over is all it'll take to fix everything. This is brutal. She cracks open the box, and right there she stares down a 4-leaf clover. She'd hand her father the 4-leaf clover bookmarks to show Catherine, no problem at all. But she can't bring herself to hand it to Isaac yet. He doesn't have any books, so the bookmark's pointless, and he's got no stylish clothes, which kills the idea too, plus there's no way he'll take anything pricey, so she just keeps thinking. What do I do? It looked like she used to worry about it. Then he finally replied. So as long as she's happy, he'll be happy too, because right now she's restless and can't stay still. He's stuck in bed, baffled about why he's like this all the time, and today, of all days, he even blurted that she was so sweet the moment she started talking about the prince. Today she craved one more long talk because tomorrow she won't get to see him, and as she stares at that rabbit she keeps glancing at Isaac, wondering what else she can offer him besides a smile. But she decides she'll confront Catherine tomorrow. He thanked the rabbit and sent him off with a warm good night. Morning hits and she pops awake, then trots out to the terrace to greet a cute little rabbit. She spots Isaac out there, shoveling snow with full effort. Races straight into his arms. He snaps, calls her a fool, warns she'll catch a cold, then rips off his jacket and wraps Melody up in it. She claims him like a treasure and he insists, "I'm okay," while he works hard and somehow still looks straight up irresistible. He leans in and asks what she's doing here, and the militia girl snaps back that she spotted him from the terrace. Isaac then tells her she doesn't have to panic or flee just because he showed up. Lydia texts me and says today is her birthday, party popper. Those other girls are throwing her a full-on party. She thought today was a bust, but Isaac throws back a laugh and tells her they'll catch up another time. She said they couldn't meet again, and she had no choice but to put her down right then. She didn't have time to stress over him, her only worry was staying healthy and not catching a cold, so when he asked if she should be concerned about herself, it threw her off completely. Elena vows that next time she'll be way more careful. He gently strokes her head and tells her it's beautiful, then he offers to stop her before Katrina can come wake her up. Eddie doesn't want to go back and she can't stop dreaming about being with Isaac. Isaac tells her to lift her gaze as they close in on the castle. He slams into water magic, grinning like it's the best birthday gift he could have gotten, then bam, a rainbow explodes across the sky. Brewed with water magic, it gleams like pure beauty. He tells her happy birthday and Lydia beams as she thanks him, then she goes, "I've got a question." He decides to do it again next year, and just like that he agrees. For now, they don't need to stress, just soak it all in and be grateful for what they've got right now. All the other girls swarm the castle to shower Lydia with birthday congratulations, and Lydia beams as she thanks them all. She gets it, those two are young ladies from other families, just like her mother warned. They slobber on flattery and stare with jealous eyes, some even insisting they're candidates too, while others heap praise on her just to win her favor. And it all boils down to this: she's got the clout to steal the prince's bride role. Mom said that at the festival today, she'll finally discover who her real friend is. Being a candidate is her golden shot, so she has to rope in Sir Roy, no excuses. She recalls Sir Roy saying the exact same thing, then urging her to seize the moment and make the most of it. She's sure his proposal deserves a real look, because the girl is calling her right now. This is Lady Turtle and she's basically saying, "Whoa, so much time's gone by, we haven't seen each other in forever." Time seems to slow down, Turtle's relief hits hard as she finally gets to meet her again. Lydia blurts out how happy she is, they squeal with pure joy, then she confesses she wanted to ask Turdley something, so Turdley's fires back, "What about?" And Lydia races through what gift she'd pick for her husband. She presses for an answer again, who's she handing it to, because she doesn't think it's worth a second thought if Sir Gerald is involved, but just recently she did give her father a silver pendant. Silver is cheap and my dad swears by his sword, so he refuses to wear rings. He hates them because they scratch and get in the way. Leah's convinced Isaac's wearing gloves so the ring won't slip on, but she figures the pendant is cheap and that alone makes it totally impressive. He never gets in the way of work and he doesn't scratch at all. She's sure it's the real thing, so she tracks Tortoise down and asks where she got it, then whispers, "It'll be yours soon and you'd better worry." Lydia remembers Yule is a winter holiday. In December, they light up the season, singing hymns of gratitude while parents hand their kids gifts like a heartfelt prayer, wishing them nothing but luck. On this day, kids rush to shower their parents, brothers, sisters, and friends with gifts, so yeah, she can hand Isaac a present right now. Lydia shoots Lady Tortellis a grateful nod, then immediately realizes she has to gear up all over again. Gift, she's really hoping he loves it because it's tiny. The sister begs for help because she's trapped and Teachai immediately asks, "What do you need?" She tells him this is an autumn game and the whole RPG tactics stuff is way too complicated. Then he blurts that he just got back and she wastes zero time firing the first question at him. He says that Teachai swears she can't play at all and keeps getting sucked into those super complicated games, so he should help. Now she orders him to teach his clueless younger sister, and he nods along even though he has no real choice. She thought she'd be trapped forever, but now she's finally staring at a happy ending, so she thanks him, and just as she does, he hears someone. Someone calls his name, Isaac, and the second he opens his eyes, he sees his mother desperately trying to wake him up. She snaps up and tells him to wash his face, grab breakfast, and move, because Dennis is already gone. Eyes shuts his eyes and dives into another memory from his past life, scrambling to lock onto the name of the character Yuka mentioned. Maybe he caught the rumor, but either way, he's not buying what the autumn games are selling. He's rushing to the greenhouse, then Juk is calling his name and Isaac can't stop staring at one thing: why does she always show up for tea? He asks Dennis if we can take this job with her and Dennis says yes, because they're on a break right now. Isaac spots his dad slipping a rare smile and it hits him. He and his father look like two bears staring at the same world. And the cat practically beams, because the father talks to the kid without even pausing. Catherine pours the tea, bows politely, and starts to slip out when Isaac calls after her asking if she'll join them. Catherine smiles and tells him she's got too much left to do. He figures she's just being polite, and he can't shake the gut punch that his own father already left. He leans in and fires, "Why tea here?" and she answers him straight from the heart. The planes finally get a breather, because out here they can kick back together instead of just standing around and chatting in the garden like usual, where everyone would totally clock them if they looked too comfy. And this is the only little slice of peace where a nobody like him and Milady can finally sit down, sip tea, and breathe. Honestly, drinking tea with someone hits different than sipping it alone, so Isaac leans in and asks why she never drinks with Katrina, and Joe admits he's too scared to even invite her. He figures she's probably stressed that her request could come off like an order, and he bets she's judging Katrina's character, so he asks if he can invite her, but Lydia shuts it down and says no. She claims she's alone. Isaac nods along and figures she's fighting tooth and nail, while Melissa reels with shame and fear, terrified she'll finally have to show who she really is. The first time they met, she hid behind her title and came in swinging, defiant as hell, because the truth hurts way more when you let it show. That thought would terrify him and anyone else too, because he swears she's gotten stronger. Rita asks if it counts as a compliment, then she grins and admits it. Yeah, she's seriously cool. Jess blurts out that she's way better than the prince because Isaac hasn't met his highness and her manners are the difference. Then Isaac immediately nods and agrees with her. He feels the usual talk about the prince has finally kicked off, and he swears Milady is nothing short of amazing, because in his past life he couldn't even pull that off. He kept the pain hidden, wore a mask of fine, and died without ever letting his real self show, so yeah, he calls himself a scoundrel. After his death, Yuka, his younger sister, finally feels better, and I know she's certain he's looking out because she's still out there, happily playing her autumn games. Alright, listen, here's where everything stands, and the real question burning in the air is how. A perfectly kept garden sat there in bloom, and beside it stood a gorgeous blonde, so close to the world of a typical fantasy game it practically felt scripted. And right there stands Sir Roy. He still hears his sister's words, "I thought I'd be trapped forever," but now it looks like Sir Roy might finally hand her the happy ending. He shoots him a heartfelt thank you, and suddenly he's back in that moment when he doubted the guy had insane stats because back then his own skills and levels just couldn't stack up to the rest. Euchre snapped that he's not the one Sir Roy is. He didn't hate strong characters, he hated how badly she played. Then he fired back asking why she couldn't win if he was so strong, and you'd realize the truth. Some walls can't be smashed just by leveling up. Lonely as hell, yet even while love throws obstacles at Sir Roy, he's got a sweet, pleasant fiancée, and it all starts when he asked. He leaned in and asked his sister what she liked, and she snapped open her phone to show him a photo, because Sir Royce's bride candidate is Lady Lydia von Ernst. The crew spots the photo on his phone and the shock hits them hard. It's Milady, Sir Roy's Milady, and yep, they're already engaged. She's got the exact same full name as Milady, maybe it's just a coincidence, and that's all he can cling to from Yuki's minigame until the memories kick in and he starts to piece together what happened in Sir Roy's game. His name was RLJ Leonard von Rosengien, the first prince of the Kingdom of Avento, and every single character there wielded their own magical element, with 7 in total. In this world, the calendar runs on 12 months and the seasons match Japan to the letter, plus there's a magic academy packed with students from proud noble families, while commoners only get in if they can actually meet the rules. It feels just like stepping into the world of a classic fantasy game. Isaac gets that this autumn game isn't just a title, it's the whole world, and somehow for him it feels like the real deal. Since it's built on a game, he can't shake the question in his gut. Should he really pay for something that might not even be real? He leans in like it matters, then tells them they need to calm down. While he sips tea, Lydia explodes in yelling that he isn't listening, and Isaac snaps back that he is because his mind is stuck on. They called the crew your star, but the truth, it wasn't there, and that absence screamed one huge problem. Mild is one of the bride candidates on that cursed branch, alongside Sir Roy, and yeah, her heart's shattered, but she refuses to let it break her or end her life. He lets out a breath of relief, calm finally washes over him then. Even those memories won't help a bit, Eddie and him are safe, and it literally doesn't matter anymore. About what this branch even means and why he's stuck thinking about it at all. He'd be shocked if Milady still loved Sir Roy just like the game, because D says Sir Roy actually. Even at the final meeting, I can't believe it, this political marriage in the game plays out like a romance, and my lady ends up smiling. But she could get rejected. Isaac's terrified of her breaking down and he's stuck there clueless, not knowing what to do next. If my lady catches feelings for Sir Roy, oh, that's when everything could change. They'll march into the Academy of Magic side by side, backing each other up, because even a commoner like him can get in as long as he's got the magic. And honestly, schools and magic in this world are on a whole different level. Milady doesn't just train him, she also shows him how to write, and now he has to figure out exactly how much magic he needs, because it's time to level up as high as he can, and if he ever runs into Milady again, he won't stay unprepared. He kept mulling it over because Milady was at his side and every move handed him another chance, like this, for example. Simple folks aren't allowed to sip the red tea, yet he gets to anyway because he's right there with her. And since he's desperate to impress Milady and show her the garden, he pushes his luck and turns it into the most enjoyable time imaginable. He blurts that he's glad they met, but Jet just can't get it, then anger hits and Jet starts screaming at the top of his lungs. Isaac clocks it instantly. He's upset her again because she's not shutting him out this time with anger, she's standing there utterly confused. He tells her she wants to talk about Flora now and he nods along, though he's convinced it started with the prince and now it's the sister pulling the strings. Dia locks eyes on the clock and snaps, time to go. Isaac offers to walk with her, but Milady shakes her head and says Katrina's picking her up, then she stretches out her hand with a beg him to take it, because he's already scooping up everything in sight. It looks like a pendant he's crazy about, but it won't line up with the melody, so he rips it open. And then peeks inside the 4-leaf clover she plucked from his garden. He says that this pendant is cute, just like her, so Melody's eyes go wide and she demands, "Why?" Isaac smirks and says he'll talk to himself then, while Jeff shrugs like it's no big deal. The look on his face says it all. Isaac shoots the question, "Wouldn't it be better if we just stopped talking?" Lydia blurts that she doesn't want any part of it. Isaac's relieved smile blooms and he leans in, asking if this is. "You claim this is his clone, but he's totally lost," doesn't get a word she's saying, then Melody steps in and reveals she's the one who made the book. Her father gets bookmarks he can't even use, because he has 0 books, so this pendant is the only thing she can give him. He'd already heard she'd handed a shamrock to the Duke. He was practically floating on cloud nine, bragging like crazy, but he never saw the shock coming. He'd get something almost the same. Lydia says it's super cheap and doesn't cost much. Katrina grabbed it from a basic little shop, and Isaac just smiles and tells you he'll take care of it. He blurts out why she handed it over now, and she laughs it off. Today's Yule Eve, and she totally forgot until the last second. Yule, basically Christmas, always threw me off because it had this autumn game vibe, and I could never wrap my head around why it lands on December 25th. But he can't offer her anything back. He admits he didn't bring a thing, and Daya just stares, sure she's already gotten everything from him. Isaac leans in and asks what it is, and she grins, like a snow rabbit. It's my treasure. Two of them have already gotten a ton from her. The letters she wrote and sent fill his heart with joy, and those notes are his prized treasure. With the last of his power, he traded for one final miracle, and it landed as a rabbit. You've got to be an idiot not to jump in for this girl, and he's saying it loud that he'll defend her no matter what. Give her another gift, because if anyone dares to offend her, he demands she spill everything, then promises he'll beat them all. Daya pushes back, asking why he's so cruel, but he tells her, don't worry, just remember it, like he doesn't care about the prince or even the fact. He acts like this is all just a game, but he's obsessed with only my lady, and he'd fight tooth and nail to keep anyone from hurting her. He swears by that medallion. Yul thinks it's a weird oath, but he clings to it anyway, believing he can still pray to God. He clutched the pendant in his fist and willed Milady to keep smiling. Prince sits in the library, right in the middle of all that silence. This is his job, so the moment the butler clocks that their majesty is smiling, he answers right away. Turns out there are still a pile of papers waiting to be reviewed. Then he brings up the Duke and calls him a cold, tough nobleman, strict in a way that isn't like his father, and the steward just stares because he says the Duke never talks like that, and he's worried the rumors are way. Yeah, it worked. Magic detection ran cleanly, no hiccups. Then they told him to write a report on hydrangea color, and he was totally thrown off because the blooms could shift based on whoever's magic was in play. It's a shame you've got to prune flowers before they wilt, because their next bloom depends on what you do. You've got to cut them right now or you'll kill next year's chance. His sister loves them, so he's determined to bring them back and show them off again. Her Highness is thrilled. She likely couldn't wait to share it with her brother since their tastes match almost perfectly. The butler even mentions he knows his way around gardening and then adds that he consulted a specialist. Someone's pounding on the door, and then the prince swings it open and lets me inside. His sister storms in and snaps, Roy, look at yourself, because he's been glued to those papers all day. He beams when Felina shows up and tells her she's a bit early today, and when Felina starts yelling, he grins and says that's proof she'll wake up on time. He leans in and asks if she woke up all on her own, then the nurse snaps back that the maid did the waking. The prince bursts into laughter and Felina freaks out, yelling that he's laughing too. Yeah, he shoots out an apology, admitting he cracked up because his little sister is just so sweet. Then he leans in and asks what went down. Felina tells him the roses finally bloomed in the garden and grabs his attention to come see them, and the prince admits he still has a few minutes before his next meeting. So Felina urges him toward the garden and he agrees, slipping out for a quick moment. Felina asks if she can call Klaus and Roy doesn't care. He just shoots back, sure, but will you bolt the second you see him? Felina tells Klaus, next time I'm going with you, and they both pause to stare at the garden as she drinks in the gorgeous flowers with pure awe. Roy clocks it right away. She's absolutely obsessed with roses. She tells him she wants to bring him along because every time she sees them she thinks of him, and he shoots back that no, they remind him of her instead. Felina snaps back, insisting once more that he fits them better, and Roy counters that the only people who ever truly hype her like Lady Lydia do are her and Lady Lydia herself. Lady Lydia is one of the possible brides, and Felina leans in, saying she's seriously interested in her. It felt weird seeing him show interest in her. Didn't he think she hated political games? Felina backs it up too, saying he's just as strange and never once names the other candidates, and Roy remembers that's exactly how it's been. He gushes that Lady Lydia's wavy golden hair and bright blue eyes shine like the flowers of Blecky. When they first met, she was draped in a blue dress, but she usually rocks pale pink, so people even mistake her for a wandering spirit made of blooms. She and he danced with a partner for the first time, then she absolutely crushed it and the whole room erupted in applause. Felina immediately asked for a blue dress, a pale pink dress, and a dancer who could really move. And this is Lady Lydia. Right as the talk starts, the butler barges in and cuts them off. He tells them the prince's next meeting is coming up fast, then Roy rushes over to apologize to Phil and she waves it off, saying she's totally fine and thanking him for keeping her company. She sends him off with good luck and Roy swears he'll be back. They're rattling along in a carriage and the prince leans out the window, soaking in the town crowd, then the butler spots something and pauses. It's wild, how does he not get bored staring at the same street every day? The prince grins and says, I don't, because each day feels totally different from the last, and then he leans in and looks down the road. He spots children tearing around, then turns to the butler and blurts that he needs permission to ask a question, so the prince leans in and asks, the real question, how do you even make friends? The steward blurts out why he even decided to dig into this and the prince admits it, someone refused his offer. The steward nods like he gets it, then presses, so what will your highness do next? It'd be different if he just said yes on the spot. He admits it might have been tough, but at the end of the day it all comes down to the person and the butler nods like, not everyone's willing to say yes right away, especially when Roy's realizing way too late that he picked the wrong words and it costs him because he was basically asked to become a friend. He pulls away from his friends like he always does and the butler snaps, what happened to that guy who refused you? The prince just shrugs, we bump into each other now and then, and the butler. He's totally caught off guard when the prince tells him he's on a job for him, so he blurts out, do I really have to stay right here? The prince reassures him, no, this is more than enough, but lately even the prince himself. He's good on his own, but trust me, with him in the mix, it's a whole lot more fun. Butler thinks this means they're basically friends already, so they stride straight into the castle. Lydia meets him at the door and greets him right at home. The prince claims it's been ages since they last saw each other, but Lily snaps back that it's only been 2 weeks. Then he clocks just how slammed she is, and you can practically hear everyone else calling it tired instead. Done waiting around, Lydia drops to apologize, and the prince immediately demands her to forgive him too. He hated having to admit it, but he clung to the hope that someone would bring back those good, happy days. Lydia agrees, and the prince begs to see the garden today because it fits him perfectly. So she nods, grins, and promises she'll treat him. For tea, they head straight to the garden and the prince tells her that today she feels different in a good way. Then she hangs her head and admits she's ashamed because she can't treat him with the same respect everyone else does. Young ladies, he declares the exact opposite, I'm happy, then shrugs like he's got something urgent to handle. Before their meeting, the girls had plenty to do, but they can't stop grilling him for every detail. Lydia thinks it's because he's fascinating, while the prince snaps back that he hates these chats and says they're flat out not fun, leaving the other girls. Lady's parents drilled her in the art of flattery, and now her own love and admiration get twisted into something false. She insists she understands, swears she believes she should stop listening to him, and cuts him off. Lady Lydia isn't putting on a front. He's thrilled to finally see the real her, then he leans in and asks what she wants to show him today. Lydia hands him acacias blazing in full bloom, and they look absolutely stunning. Beside the magnolia, the prince is thrilled. Ernst's garden never stops shifting, and it keeps lighting everyone up with joy, so Lydia tells him she loves it too. They hear a sharp crunch and watch something tumble out of the tree. When it comes crashing down, the prince throws himself in front of Sophia, orders her to back up, and thinks it must be the culprit before it hits the ground. He springs out of bed and violently shakes off every last speck of dust. He storms out, insists everything's fine, and clutches a bouquet of acacias like it means something. Lydia fires back, asking why he tumbled from that exact spot, and Isaac just stands there utterly clueless. He insists it's not the right place, it's just the tree's top, while Lydia screams, laying out how he ended up falling in the first place, and Isaac finally admits the truth. He trimmed a few branches to decorate Eddie's room because he figured he'd only need a handful of nice ones. Lydia snaps that this is dangerous, and Isaac shoots back a thanks for looking out for him. Then Lydia reminds me that he isn't just some helpless victim. Roy laughs and says even an apology can be funny. He never thought she'd be this relaxed, so she just calls out Sir Roy. She stares him down, stunned. Could this really be Sir Roy? Lydia insists she didn't say a single strange thing, then points the blame at that guy. Whoa, Jess is screaming that Sir Roy is the next heir to the throne, and Isaac's being insanely rude about it. She jabs his shoulder with her finger and barks, that guy, and Isaac asks if he can switch, but the prince waves it off like, it's all good, and they're just hanging out in a casual setting while Isaac starts to say that he They never officially meet him because he's just a commoner. Then the prince bursts into laughter and tells Isaac not to say never. Isaac admits that if it really happened, he'd get so nervous he wouldn't know how to be polite, and the prince agrees. Lydia watches it all, stunned, and wonders if they truly even know each other. Another Isaac claims that the man got swallowed by the city streets, and Roy blurts out that he only helped him while he was roaming around. Then Lydia snaps that she's never once heard them mention it, and Isaac tells the prince to hold off on complaints about Leo since he clearly knew, only for the prince to realize he didn't even have a clue that Sir Roy was Leo, and Roy just drops an apology. And he swears he just wanted to clear his name face to face. Then they never meet again, so Isaac has to ask, wait, was he? Leo tries to catch him off guard, admitting he just wanted to see the look on his face, but Isaac wasn't surprised for a second. Isaac says, I knew you'd be high status, and that it makes sense he's acting grown up now. Leo asks, so that's it? Isaac answers, yeah, that's it. They burst out laughing, and then the prince starts to glow while Isaac ducks behind Eddie. Demands he stop glowing. Lydia shrieks. Isaac shouts that she's packed with too much magic, so he won't let her get used as a shield, so Lydia grips the great shield and declares she can pull it off, then fires back, where's the logic? Because her magic won't save the day. Roy kept Isaac in the dark about who he was because he didn't want Isaac treating him any differently, and this. Turns out he has nothing to fear. The prince is straight up laughing. Right then the butler strides in and snaps, they called him, there's still time. He swears they've been sipping tea forever. It got so loud he figured something must have happened. Lydia blurted out an apology and said their gardener had been rude, and Isaac immediately snapped that it was his fault. Then the two of them locked eyes, heavy and intense. He clocks him instantly and blurts, why is Isaac here? And Isaac spots Matthias too, snapping back, that outfit doesn't fit you at all. Matthias finally realizes this is the same man who refused to be free. Friends, Roy bursts into laughter, convinced Isaac is way more shook by Matthias than by the fact that he's a prince, and then Isaac turns to Milady, demanding, how long is this going to go on? She has no idea what to do, then blurts out that it's all his fault. Even if it was an autumn game, none of that mattered. Those two soaked up every single day together, laughing their hearts out, and honestly it's just amazing how genuinely happy the prince is. Flora yanks Lydia's hand in the garden and Lydia blurts that she won't let go. Isaac jumps in asking what's going on, and Lydia reveals that Flora's just unusually full of energy today. A whole year has sprinted by since he became the gardener's apprentice and crossed paths with Melody. And even after he figured out this is the world of autumn play and that Leo is actually Sir Roy, his life still hasn't shifted. He shows his. He clicks his fingers and teaches Lydia the rules of rock, paper, scissors, then urges Flora to give it a shot. Flora tries to copy him, backs away from Lydia mid-game. Isaac jumps in praising her. Flora chuckles to herself like she nailed it, and Lydia goes wide-eyed in surprise. She insists she never listens to her, plus Millie's even a main enemy in the game, yet right now, she's just a girl who's all about protecting her little sister. In that game he wasn't even a real main character, just a nobody, and that's why his life stayed dull, but it also explains why he still carries memories from his past life. Isaac tells her that kids her age copy everything they see, and he starts to show her. Lydia stares at the flowers and blurts, what is this? And he smirks as he explains that if you set the flowers up just right, they'll bloom into a clover wreath. He brings that gorgeous wreath straight to Lydia and Flora, and the pretty floral charm has Lydia turning her attention his way. He boasts that he's a total pro at making wreaths and hanging decorations, and he's sure she'll pull it off too. He tells you to go right back to the start, grab a flower, split its stem down the middle, and wrap it around your finger like you mean it. And that's it, he's ready. He grinds clover into a ring, swears it's no big deal, but the moment he sees it, he locks onto Lydia's fate like he can feel it turning. Something went down and you could tell she was furious. She blushed hard as he slid the ring onto her finger. The third finger on his left hand. He jabs a finger at his hand. Isaac's face flushes with embarrassment and he blurts out, it all started by sheer accident. Melody snaps at him to stay completely quiet because if he slips and says even a single word she'll be done for and won't be held responsible. He snaps to a halt, realizing she's boiling with rage. Awkward silence hangs in the air, then Flora snaps, screams at the top of her lungs, snatches Melody by the hem again, demands what happened and jabs her finger straight at her arm. She realizes she wants a ring like that too, so Lydia pushes Isaac to forge another one for Flora, only not for the ring finger. If he pulled that off she'd totally let it slip from her mind, then he agreed. He shoves a ring into Flora's hands, but she keeps screaming like something inside her won't let go. Lydia can't figure out what's wrong with her. But Isaac interrupts, saying she already had a ring, now she's got two. A fresh mission sparked in her mind. She couldn't stop loving that pendant, because Lydia spots it hanging around his neck. Long ago, back when time felt endless, Isaac Explo still had it. He's kept it on his neck ever since she handed it to him, tucked under my clothes so it never got a scratch until now when Flora finally found it and he says he'll make her. She wants the necklace, but the clone grabs it with a demanding smile. Hand it to me, it's my treasure. Lydia can't believe it, even in something this ordinary he's got something precious he refuses to lose. She can feel it, Isaac's care hits her like a warm wave and it matters to her just as much. So she starts wondering how she can help him because a full year has already passed since the day she first met Isaac. Sir Roy waits on her answer, calm on the outside, until the moment he's about to hear her decision. Isaac is posted by the water cannon, staring at the clock, waiting for Leo. He came a little early just to make sure he didn't miss a second. He spots the old man from the flower shop, dashes up to him, and demands to know if he's really been waiting for the young guy by the water fountain. He nods along and the florist says he looked totally stunned, fresh off the harbor, clearly confused. Then he asks to buy hydrangeas while promising to pay big. Isaac swears his hydrangeas are straight up special. Anywhere you move them, they'll bloom year-round except when the rainy season rolls in. Then the flower seller blurts out that he glagalized them, like it's tied to some sketchy research, magic elements or perfumery, like somebody would actually need that, and Isaac sits there knowing exactly what's inside his head. He taught him how to grow hydrangeas so they wouldn't wilt, and the seller swears it makes him happy, and he bids him farewell, and Isaac smirks like he knows, saying he'll swing back to the store out of nowhere sometimes. A chill crawls over him and he instantly knows this is the spirit of darkness. Isaac's baffled. How are these spirits hanging around in broad daylight? He's itching to track them down right there because the spirits are definitely here. Magic isn't just power, it's spells like hypnosis, and wicked people love to misuse it, but he's not doing any of that with evil in mind, so a little caution wouldn't hurt. He sprints through the streets, convinced the truth is right around here. He peeks into the alley and there she is, sitting with her back to him like she's waiting for something to go wrong. He asks if she's okay, but she flinches and snaps, "Who's there?" Her hair sparkles like crazy and Isaac is not having it. He's pissed at the new, goofy shiny. He flips through his hair and asks her, right to her face, if she's Leo's younger sister. The girl has no clue who they're talking about, so Isaac asks if she's for real, and she's totally stunned that he even knows Roy. Isaac finally admits he's the one who dragged him into the city center, asking him to walk with him around the streets. And yeah, Isaac is Ernst's estate gardener's apprentice. The girl clings to that name and suddenly it clicks, he's working for the lady. Isaac leans in and asks Lydia if she's lost, and she tells him straight that Roy just stepped out for a walk. She trailed him, then when she glanced back, he vanished into thin air and Isaac could feel dark spirits closing in. That cloak sparked the biggest question: did she really leave Leo? So he demanded to know what kind it was and she spilled the truth. It was in Sir Roy's office. Then she tried it on and boom, it turned out to be a magical cloak that could make a person completely invisible. Isaac can't stop wondering if Roy's just too foolish to let something like this go unguarded. Now all the pieces click into place, and it's seriously wild to see some girl dressed like royalty just wandering around in here. To slip through the city center unseen, then the second Leo showed up, chaos erupted like a wildfire. It doesn't really matter how or why she's gone, and that's the truth. Isaac gently strokes her head and tells her everything's fine. He hands it to his brother. She agrees on the spot. Isaac flings his magic, conjuring a bird that rockets into the sky and vanishes. The girl blurts, "What is it?" And Isaac fires back that it's magic for sending messages. He learned it from Sir Roy even back when they were wearing the very same cloak. Now he finally gets to bring her to the meeting place. He snaps to the girl, orders her to stay put, and says that's why she warns him if her hair hits the ground, it'll get dirty fast, so he grabs the moment and ties it up right now. She shoots him a warm "thank you," then tells him he's crazy good with long hair. Isaac just shrugs and says his little sister used to beg him all the time to tie her a ponytail, because, yeah, when he was little that's exactly what happened. So I had to learn. The girl presses him again, and when the truth finally clicks, he admits he used to have a younger sister, but she's not a sister anymore. He shoots his hand out and beckons her closer, but the second she tries to rise, pain lances through her leg. She's always roaming the castle, so it makes sense that without even thinking, she overloaded her leg out of sheer habit. Isaac drops into a crouch and motions for the girl to hop onto his shoulders. Ordinary folks can't afford a carriage, so he'll carry her himself. He hoists her onto his back and he scoops her up, fires off his first question, "What's your name?" And when she says it's Olna, he leans in and asks if she's running late. Maybe he should call her by her rank, but she shuts that down fast, saying there's no need. This isn't an official reception. Isaac insists they're brother and sister for sure because they act so much alike, and Olna agrees, then points out the one thing that's different: their eyes. Isaac shuts it down fast, saying he wasn't talking about looks at all but about the way they behave, like two peas in a pod. Isaac says this is the first time anyone's pointed out they're alike, not just how they look. He claims she comes off honest and acts her age, but then Leo's out here acting like some worn-out old man, and it just doesn't fit him at all. Olna asks who that old man even is, and Isaac says the kid's face and look, paired with how he carries himself like an adult, prove he's the type who should relax more. Olna nods because Roy is always working himself to the bone. Isaac tells her he's worried about her brother, and Alina nods, saying he means the world to her. Nelade is the only other challenger on Roy's route. Yuki never said a word about her, and he didn't bring up any Alina either, but honestly, none of it changes a thing. That's just saying she's not a main character. Who she is doesn't matter a bit if she never steps into his life and changes it. Melodies haunt him because he's convinced his own mind got warped, and what he lived through doesn't match what he still remembers from when he helped you. With this game, unlike him, who's living a whole second life inside it, Yuki is dying too. Yeah, this hits harder. He remembers how she kept getting stuck in the game, then pinged him for help again and again, swearing it felt like she couldn't move an inch. That's Yuki's signature line, and honestly, it might be her, this girl Felina. Vona Rosenhorn. The princess was the royal family's third child, born to the king and his first queen, yet she carries memories of every past life like they just happened. But that's only the start. It doesn't matter, she was born with insane magical power, and on top of that she's got two brutal elements that are hard to control. Every time she nodded, her body blasted out a storm of magic. She was totally overwhelmed, and the moment she sobbed at the top of her lungs, the whole world around her seemed to crumble, and fear swallowed her from everyone in the room. She'd lock herself away in the palace night after night, hating that she felt so weird and terrifying. Then her hero finally crashed in, her brother Roy. She's got two older brothers but only Roy. Blood brother, and they tore into the night together. And get this, these guys can use light magic too, something you almost never ever see. Roy showed up for her every single time, carried her through her darkest days, tracked down the reason her magic spiraled out of control, then patiently taught her, step by step, how to rein it in, and that's exactly why she fell head over heels for him. She was bursting with joy every time someone said they looked alike. Her heart lifted, and for her, that one tiny resemblance to her beloved older brother was all she needed. And that was something to be proud of. If he was too swamped to be with her, she could still catch herself in the mirror and lose herself in the distraction. She drowned in loneliness, hunting his features in her own face, and before she knew it, staring in the mirror became a daily ritual. Then one day she caught the reflection and the shock hit. She'd seen that face before, and it came with a name: Felina Allen. In Rosenheim, she was just a side character in the autumn game of her past life, perched on a branch with her favorite, the star of this year. This is the official title. Game back in her previous life, something massive was buried in the shadows, waiting to explode. Yuka finally found the guy she'd been dreaming of, but he gave off this icy, distant chill that made her heart sink. Chill claws the air as she nearly gets caught, so when she spots that cover, she snaps up the game, unable to get him out of her head. Yuka has no clue whether to dive into her branch now or shove it to later, telling herself she'll sort it out once training finally ends. She just wants to play, so when powerful magic rocks Jiggy's world, they dump her into the Academy of Magic, lock away the explanations, and walk off, and that's when the real game kicks off. That corner hydrangea is flashing its magic. Jiggy is the special one. She doesn't use any special powers though. The flower starts out white, and that's how each partner gets their own. Jiggy's personality decides just how deep she lets you get. Then the hydrangeas start telling a whole different story. Follow one branch and you get light green for wind, orange for earth, purple for darkness, infrared for fire, blue for water, white for nothing, light yellow for light, and yellow for electricity. So it all kicks off in the Fantasy Academy. she decides to start with the worst ending, the one with Prince Roy, and she'll reveal the happy ending only after she finishes the rest of the story. From the branches, and since there was nobody else in that room, Yuka wasted the entire night with nothing to show for it. In just a few hours, she's already praising the prince, because to her, every gentle smile is pure kindness, like he's radiating light from the start, and Yuka thinks. She's convinced real men only exist in games. Then she spots the footprints someone is leaving in. The girl from the game grabs your attention and begs for permission to explain why someone like her isn't worth anything. Roy, she's your rival, tough, principled, and absolutely worth taking seriously, so if you can't prove your effort, then what are you even doing? If you cut the real results, you'll never win. Yuka needs to know what he's willing to fight for, the place of his fiancé, and she dares him anyway, asking for an honest brawl. It's stunning to watch. Yuka's the real deal and she never slips into sneaky tricks. She can't just say she hates it, so Yuka dives in and forces herself to get the real truth. No sugarcoating, she grinds through the game for ages, locked in with pure determination. At last, everything's set, she's seconds from quitting, but her instincts kick in. She knows this girl is her brother's beloved and she just feels like a whole new character has arrived. Yep, Felina Elena von Rosenheim is the real deal. Elena was just a side character in the branch with Prince Roy, popping up at school only sometimes, and every time a moment hits where you have to choose wrong, your ending slips away fast. If they'd ever met her, she would have spilled what Prince Roy would never dare to say. She was her. She was the prince's second most beloved, yet the more she kept showing up to check on him, the more she realized she'd gotten ridiculously attached to her big brother. Born Felina, she lived her whole life through her own eyes. He gets her pain better than anyone, and that's why he loves his brother so fiercely, because across her past and all the way through her present life, he's the one who kept handing her happiness. She thinks that this is a whole new ballgame. She digs into memories from her past life and uses them to put a smile on Roy's face. She steels herself, now she's got to do something for him, and she remembers the warning: dodge the wrong moments or the branch snaps to a bad ending. Prince Roy couldn't make peace with Klaus, so Klaus seized the throne, and the swarm couldn't survive the combo of light and darkness, so they just had to dodge both, and the good ending would finally be theirs. Elena cut through the silence and decided it was time to move, no more waiting for the moment to slip away. First, she has to win over the brothers, especially her older brother, the second prince, Klaus. Klaus is just another branch in the game. He squares off against Roy for the throne, and they share one brutal rule. Roy's path guarantees a happy ending, but if Klaus wins, you're heading straight for disaster. It sits on the throne, casting a shadow over Klaus and his line, yet it still shows up now and then, which means there's gotta be a way to force those brothers back into the same room. She asks Klaus if he'll join her and Roy for tea, only for Klaus's mom to interrupt the moment. The moment Queen Simona steps in, she snatches the boy into her care, terrified she'll soon be forced to hand him over, while Klaus, meanwhile, is stuck engrossed in his violin. Klaus offers an apology and Felina cuts him off with a quick promise she won't distract him while he's busy. Every single time she's about to invite Klaus, Queen Simona swoops in and cuts the moment short, right down to the last second, and even when she drags Klaus along, he still stays across the room, never closing the distance from Roy. Felina can't crack him at first, but she refuses to quit. She's determined to figure out exactly what makes him tick. The swarm wields both light and dark magic, and right now it's only just starting. A spell built around light magic, so it couldn't speed up progress here. We'll only know once she steps into the academy, because while she feared her magic would go out of control, he never left her alone, always rushing in to help. Now she just wants to stand at his side and heal him the moment it hurts him again. Magic, if the world tries to drag him under, she'll fight for him to trust her, because she was meant to be the only one he could talk to about everything. Even now, it can't touch that situation, not a bit. The only thing she can do is let her busy brother breathe over tea. Yeah, it's ordinary, but she's a princess with memories from a past life, and that's all she's got. She barges into his room, then realizes he's gone. But out on the seas, hydrangeas burst into bloom. Pale yellow glow like light magic, mixed with deep purple like dark magic. So the swarm already picked up on its dark magic, like they've sensed it. She figured he'd only discover those two abilities once he hit the academy, but Felina's left staring at the truth like, how did he find out already? That's not even the half of it. She's rattled by more and she blurts out, wait. She leaned in and demanded he describe Lady Lydia to her, and Roy's Lydia was nothing like the one she thought she remembered. Her hair and eyes match, sure, but once you look past that, everything about her is completely different. She still remembers her first dress as bright red from childhood, but her brother insists it was blue with light pink too. Then he starts naming everyone else's turn in the mix. They say that the moment Roy and Lady Lydia first met, she tried to dance and totally botched it, falling hard. Then Roy shot his hand out to pull her up, only for her to crash down again. Head over heels for him. But it didn't budge at all. He shouted that she was dancing. It's gorgeous, nothing like the game. Maybe Lady Lydia's past life memories are back, and now she's ready to do anything too. When you get the chance, talk to her. She's not just one of the candidates for bride, she might also end up as her daughter-in-law. Felina's got a plan. She's desperate to meet Lydia and slip out of the palace, so she decides to sneak a cloak from Roy's office. She couldn't think of anything else. She grabbed his clothes, cleaned up his room, and left, and now she was completely turned around. She sprinted to catch her brother, but he vanished from sight. Her legs gave out and she couldn't take another step, so she dropped down and sat there. She stood in the alley, spiraling over one terrifying thought: what if she never made it back home? For once, staying put felt safer, at least until the game began, but the trouble was already creeping in. Then, she heard it. Someone asks her if she's okay, and she's blown away. They even noticed her, especially with that raincoat on, so Felina snaps, "Who's there?" and turns to see. He's just a regular guy. Then he blurts out, "Are you Leo's younger sister?" And the only problem is Leo isn't a title at all, it's short for Leonard, and Leonard is Roy's middle name. She doesn't know a single person who calls him that, so she has no clue who that mystery guy even is. Then he said his name was Isaac, Roy's buddy and the gardener's apprentice at Lady Lydia's estate, and the second Lady Lydia laid eyes on him, her heart went straight into his hands. A wild rush of nostalgia hit him, like some ancient memory from a life he shouldn't even remember. Memories flooded back of when she was still Yuka, and the story of her older brother. Her brother always clashed with their stubborn father, kept it real with himself, and then, right when everything changed, he died in an accident. Her parents were left totally speechless, like they couldn't process what they were hearing, because for this, he was sentenced to die, and she's furious and calls him a fool just because he tried to talk to them. Family, those distant memories, the ones that still haunt me, memories. Her brother locked away, because maybe it was for this reason. All at once, her memories crashed back in like a wave, and she blurted out the exact words she'd repeated 100 times in her youth. She was already convinced she'd hit a dead end, until one simple sentence flipped everything, and somehow she was right back together with them again. Not her brother Roy, not Klaus, but that ridiculous, silly brother. Isaac leans in and demands, "Are you really Yuka?" And the girl fires back, "Prove you're really T-Chai." They're weighing the whole situation because meeting someone feels that effortless, so there's zero reason to second-guess it, and somehow it all sounds hauntingly familiar. It felt familiar, like that phrase had yanked him straight back to his sister, so he blurts, "Are you Yuka?" Then his eyes lock onto the teacup in front of her, and she snaps back that he should call her Lady Elena. He starts to protest, saying he knows it's rude. Felina leans in and asks what he does when you lock eyes with him and who Isaac even is. Then he admits he wants the answer too, and he straight up doesn't remember anyone named Elena. They'll tell you Olna is her second name and Felina is the first, and yeah, she's a side character in Prince Roy's branch. She chose Olna because the tech keeps yelling Roy Leo, and now Isaac finally gets where that name came from. Where did that name even come from? He can't remember the secondary characters' names, and she's over here insisting she's a secondary character, while he's basically saying he isn't even background, he just does it. He's totally clueless about how reincarnation even works. Yet somehow he accidentally ends up knowing Roy and working for Lady Lydia, and that just has to be way too perfect to be a coincidence. It can't be coincidence. Felina grabs his attention and begs him not to. Tell her it's his fault everything went sideways from the game, and then Isaac blurts, asking what any of it even means. Helena tells him the swarm already knows its two big powers, darkness and light, and then shoots. "Is that your problem?" Isaac fires back again, asking if he really has two traits, but the worst part, he still doesn't even know what's wrong with him. Felina remembers Roy wasn't meant to learn, yet he already did because he used the hydrangeas for this. Isaac snaps the truth in his mind when he realizes these are the same hydrangeas he bought from that old gardener, while Leo admits he picked them out himself and Isaac says he didn't lift a finger. Felina fires off questions about Lady Lydia. She was supposed to go down during Roy's dance, but Millie stepped in and kept everything perfectly in place again. Nothing. Isaac says that he He remembers nothing from the game, just a lowly commoner with a tiny spark of magic. So tell me, Felina, what can he even do? She screams that she's a princess with powerful magic, but it goes nowhere. Then Isaac snaps that she can't pin everything on him. Felina finally blurts out that she can't stop replaying how helpless she feels in this life, and Isaac snaps back that she didn't die as early as he did. She scoffs, calls him a fool, and laughs. Of course not, because we all lived full, peaceful lives. Isaac grins and asks how she ended up in his head as a tiny old grandmother. She shakes her head and insists, "No, I just have old memories," before reminding him she's still just an ordinary 5-year-old girl. She asks if he's a student in those memoirs. Isaac snaps back no, too, because he isn't any scholar at all, just an ordinary 8-year-old boy. Felina. It's probably because they're trapped in your star's world, but for most of them, every memory they've got is still from the game. But so much is still a mystery, and that's why she talks the way she used to. Isaac rushes to apologize to Yuki. Yeah, those old memories hit hard, but they're not Tichai and Yuka anymore, and they've got. The thought of meeting again lit a fire in him. He couldn't wait to track them down and finally beg for forgiveness. Swallow your pride and beg for forgiveness for tearing his whole life apart. When he heard the forecast, everything fell apart. He lost control of his thoughts and couldn't steer his life anymore, and she and everyone else ended up suffering pain they never should have had. Felina lays into him, calling him an idiot, because honestly he's just a terrible person and she can't even hold back her rage. Wow, her older brother is totally acting like a fool. She wraps her arms around him tight and he blurts out an apology for her older brother. They've finally arrived. Felina immediately demands, "Whose place is this?" Isaac grins and says it's his home, and then admits he told Leo they'd meet here so they'd stand out less. Since her parents don't expect a princess, they push her to slip on a cloak and a hat and vanish into the crowd. She nods along and Isaac rushes to his mom, telling her he's home and asking if Leo's around. She grins and welcomes him, but then points out he came back way too fast and says Leo still hasn't returned yet. Isaac hasn't come yet. He told me he'd meet him here and I'll wait, but mother keeps pushing, asking why he won't just sit at the fountain, and Isaac snaps back that something happened today so the plans have shifted. My father storms into the room. Mom tells me she and Danny just came back from shopping and now that he's home he'll watch the house. Isaac nods along, then tells them to take care of themselves. They tell Leo we send our regards, then announce they're headed out, and Felina can't help asking, are those really his parents in this life? Because Leo looks just like them. He fires back that he doesn't think their bond is bad at all. Felina grins, and he tells her to stop smiling while she turns around and urges him to quit acting shy. She says the man's name is Denny's and he reminds her of their father. Isaac nods along, but his past father. Back then, it wasn't a myth. His real father was out there, real and present, and they both threw themselves into their work. He respected them hard for it. Felina leans in and tells the teacher she's truly changed. Then he snaps back that his own past is packed with everything he's survived, that he's been helping his father with work ever since, and Felina pushes, asking if he really believes that. Isaac can't forget his past life, because he's hellbent on fixing the one regret that haunts him, and you can see the weight of it hit him as he reflects. Right now he corrected the word. A sharp knock hit the door and outside a voice called, "Leo's here, tell me, is Isaac home?" Felina hears Roy's here, but right before she and Roy can talk to Leo, everything gets cut off. He shoots out his hand, flashes a friendly smile, says it's a pleasure to meet her, and then introduces himself, calling her Elena. She shoots her hand forward and tells him she's thrilled to meet him too. Then she calls him Isaac. He swings the door open and tells Leo he's been waiting for him all this time. Then he blurts out a real apology for the delay, because he has to know why Isaac suddenly changed the meeting place. Isaac rips the cloak from Felina and tells her she can take it off now. Roy freezes in shock, blurting out why Felina's even here, and then he orders Matthias to stand guard. Felina shrieks that he didn't even let her breathe for a few seconds to get ready, and then she fires back, asking why he was acting like this. Isaac says it was all for the meeting with Leo, but Felina just wants to know one thing: how much longer she's got. She ducks behind him and screams that he's an idiot, and the prince just laughs, saying he's pretty sure Isaac and Felina have finally found a way to talk to each other. Felina snaps back and says he saved her when she got lost in the city, and then the prince demands again how I managed to get lost, while Leo lifts the cloak and orders them to stop flinging stuff everywhere. Roy blurts out a huge apology and tells you to guard your stuff better, and Felina immediately bows her head. she's sorry too because she only grabbed it to follow him. Then Roy owns up to it being on him for never mentioning his walks outside, and Felina admits she wasn't trying to be bad, she was just curious. Isaac demands we admit we're both guilty, presses me to say what I need to say, and when we go dead silent, he snaps that we have to apologize together. Leo nods and promises, I've got it, I'll be way more careful from now on. Next time Felina throws in her agreement too, then Isaac asks that. And now he can't stop wondering where he even got that cloak until the prince claims, I made it myself. Isaac presses him again so the prince admits he crafted it using dark magic that he grabbed and used when they were hiding from the guards. As he spoke, he realized he could tap into brand new kinds of magic, and his mind raced as he pondered what to do next with his work. After he heard those words, he snapped into action and chased down his choices. He stares at Isaac baffled like, why are you trying to get my attention? Because Alina just laid out the truth about his dark magic, and somehow you've got two of them. Olna barrels up to him, clamps a hand over his mouth and snaps that he needs to shut up, because talking in public about his two abilities is a painful landmine in his branch. Isaac acts like he doesn't care, then pushes it with, so what do you think? And he cuts himself off. Look, he's smiling and Felina can tell it instantly. He swears it's the truth, happy that they're finally this close. Then Felina shuts him down cold. He declares it's time to head home, tells her they'll meet again at the palace, and she nods, apologizing as she goes. Cutting him off today, the prince tells her not to fret, because even now he still managed to pick up something new. He spots her new hairstyle, gently strokes her hair and tells her a ponytail suits her perfectly. Isaac begs the prince not to spoil his sister like that. The prince bows in another apology for the trouble. Then Isaac orders him to stash the cloak out of sight so no one else snatches it, and Leo tells Matthias that they're leaving, and Isaac blurts out, should I see them off? Leo snaps back, don't worry, we've got this. Isaac nods and says his goodbyes, and then Elena calls him. She leans in and swears to him that no matter what happens, she'll burn her heart out just to keep Royce smiling, and Isaac lights up, saying it's beautiful because he'll do everything in his power to make sure Melody stays well. He's buzzing with happiness. Felina drops down and plants a kiss right on his shoulder. Choka, Leo and Matthias are left totally baffled as she presses a kiss to his ear, wondering if she's got feelings for Isaac. Someone blurts out, what was it? And Felina snaps back, no, definitely not a kiss. And then they jolt along on the ride home in their carriage. Felina snaps to Leo that she can't do much at all. But if something's gnawing at him, he should come to her and spill it all, anything. Leo insists it's not sudden, but Felina's already sure something's brewing. She can feel he's up to something, she just doesn't know what yet, and Leo keeps laughing like conspiracy is a terrible word. They press her, asking if Isaac said anything to her. She snaps back that Isaac has nothing to do with this, and she insists she needs him to trust her fully. This is her own heartfelt wish. She knows her older brothers want to stand on their own, but even if he keeps her in the dark, she's still going to worry about him, because he won't be able to stop her. He lets out a laugh and says he just can't bring himself to hope for anything better. Then Felina asks. No one knows why he's laughing, and the moment feels deadly serious. Matthias already gets a stomachache just picturing all the cleaning he'll have to do, while Matthias can only think that at least these two are actually having a blast. Isaac and his father are out back pruning the roses, and Isaac can't take his eyes off each careful cut. He can't stop thinking, why was he even reborn? He replays Felina's words in his head. Maybe the reason they remember their past life is that he wants to fix the one thing he regrets, so he clings to the role of a gardener's apprentice, walks straight in his father's footsteps and gets reborn. His father. Dad calls him over and snaps that he's slicing off way too much right there. April. Almost everything is set, now the roses just need a careful trim to bloom in May, and it's a little too hard for him to handle solo right now, so his father steps in to help. His father hands him a box of flowers and orders, take this to the estate, then come right back. Isaac says he can do it, but he hasn't even finished trimming them still, my father. He won't let it go, and Isaac finally gives in. Since he met Alina, his mind won't shut off and he's starting to feel like he's not even himself anymore. Lydia calls out for someone to hold up, and the melody that escapes her floors him. Before he can process it, Lady Emma lunges in and attacks. He asks if he'll be her shadow, and she cuts him down fast, saying he's ugly. Her dancing skills kept slowing her down, so if he wanted to be her partner, he'd need the real moves. Isaac leans in and asks, so what are you even talking about? Emma yanks him by the nape and snaps that he's going with her right now, because Joe will forgive her for stopping. She drags Isaac toward the ballroom and he blurts out, "Okay, so what do we do next?" Emma blurts out that she wants to learn how to dance, but Isaac's fuming and he snaps that he should get back to work. He swears he's fine with it, but the stuff they just shoved into his hands looks straight up ridiculous, while the Duke looms in the doorway grinning like he won and tells him, "These are mine from my days as a kid." Isaac asks if the Duke's free and the Duke shrugs that everyone needs a break sometimes, then admits he's been pulled in for advice on the best outfit for dance lessons. He clocks that Isaac digs it, then swings over to Jeff and demands, "So you really do?" Isaac nods and says she thinks it's better this way, barely. Isaac thanks her, then leans in and asks how long she's been with him. Staring at Isaac, the Duke flashes a grin, "Nice to see someone wearing your old clothes." Then he turns the heat on, asking Isaac what he'd say to the offer of becoming his son while Melody scrambles to stop him. Isaac snaps that they shouldn't joke like that, and the Duke instantly clocks that he's the type who never messes up. It's still early, but he should probably treat it like a birthday gift. Millie's stunned and blurts out how the Duke knows her birthday, and he calmly says, "Of course I do, I'm the servant in your house, so maybe it's the 9th, Lydia starts to say. She didn't realize it until last year, and Isaac can't stop replaying everything she never asked, while Emma keeps wondering if they're finally done with it. Balakanina obsessed over the title and the pull of that unanswered question, because after that, every future dance lesson, young Mrs. Isaac would be forced to show up and take her place with her partner. He's convinced he's the gardener's apprentice, drowning in work, and he can already feel his father's anger closing in, but the Duke steps in, promises to talk to Danny and helps him straighten everything out. He exits so he shouldn't panic, he knows he's been boxed in. Emma asks if they're in agreement. Sophia's face crumples with horror. They nodded in agreement, and with Miss Ella steering him, he showed up for dance lessons every day for the next 2 weeks, so half of May slipped by fast, then they strolled through the garden. Blue flowers spill across the whole garden so it feels like you're strolling on air. His father planted the idea. He finally latched onto the perfect garden idea and finished it just in time for his birthday last week. Now Prince Roy is asking about it. Turns out his birthday was last month and he didn't even know, so Jess honestly snapped that handing over the family garden to her son is just too much. Isaac's heart leapt way higher than he expected when he spotted a stunning garden planted just for him. Then Jeff leaned in and said Danny was way too cunning, and Isaac's "Ask Leo anything," he's already fired up, yelling about what the shadow should look like, not the one on the ground, the other one. Leo blurts out, "Is this about dancing?" Then he admits, "I wanted to ask Melida," and right after that, silence hits like the prince is holding his breath. Isaac explains that the shadow is the dancer's partner, the exact image of the partner they represent, and someone blurts, "Why do you even need it?" Isaac just shrugs and says, "Because my teacher calls it that." Then it hits. He's replacing Leo. Jess goes, "No, this isn't true." She wanted to dance with the shadow of Prince Roy, but it wasn't some normal waltz. Emma insists she's trying to lead him, yet it's nothing like that at all because the prince is the one who should be leading, and she demanded His Highness follow her, and when the teacher shut her down, she spilled the reason. How she used to dance with her eyes, then decided to put those eyes in training, so she made him a promise. She never wanted to shove him into the Prince Roy spotlight or any other role, and both boys keep staring at her like they're measuring every move. The prince claims he gets it all, then immediately remembers how she tore the floor up with that dance last year, so yeah, if Isaac was her partner has to be a real pro. Now I'm dying to see him dance for real. He claims someone handed him a pillbox and that alone makes him dance even worse than at zero, like he's being puppeted with fake hands, until he starts thinking about taking the main spot. At the dances, he just trails behind Melody, letting her steal the spotlight while he stays right in her wake. Turns out they'd swapped roles and the dance ended in pure weirdness. Then the teacher's rage exploded, so if he wants to fix it, you've got to go all out. To stand out at all, Leo pushes him, "Come to the ball." But he hates being the center of attention, and that doesn't exactly help, so Isaac can't even picture himself making it there. Leo tells everyone his birthday lands in August, so inviting a friend is a piece of cake, and last year he was out there dancing with the whole crowd. He's even got a few bride options on the table, but he still won't commit, and he dodges any tension like it's poison. This festival, he won't be dancing either. Lady Lydia has to lock in a partner, and one presence can fix everything, so she pushes him to ask Isaac what he's trying to say. Isaac nods and agrees. Isaac nods like got it, then yells, "Can you hear me at all?" to make sure everyone catches his voice. Lydia tells him he can skip it if he wants, then she'll march straight to her father to push for finding her a partner. Isaac realizes he's crushed her again and he scrambles to fix it, telling her that if she truly has no choice, he'll sit down and think it over. Dies buzzing with happiness, until she has to beg the Duke for permission first, and he just won't let her get any peace. The Duke leans in and asks if she truly wants to bring Isaac along for His Highness's birthday, because honestly, it's a brilliant plan. Lydia fires a question, "Is it true?" And he snaps back, "Of course, if His Highness asks, I can't refuse." Isaac then chimes in saying he dances in a weird way and brings up the outfit too. He's still got a place there too. The Duke admits he's been loving Isaac's dancing style and he's thrilled Lydia will dance with him instead of some stranger. Isaac nods along, and even though they'll need more dance lessons, he's already seen the etiquette click into place during training. Then Isaac asks, "Don't mess with his work, Leo's just relieved it's already perfect." Isaac's coming to the party. Jeff practically cheers when he hears it, and suddenly it's clear, this is Isaac's chance to learn and grow. Only Isaac can't shake the feeling. He thinks the prince keeps shoving him toward something, and he insists Isaac is the one exaggerating. It's meant to be taken as a gift. Isaac had a birthday this month and he thinks that gift was so sketchy it felt impossible to turn down, and DL was furious that everyone kept handing it over and accepting it like it was no big deal. She's stuck, clueless on what to give him. Then his birthday slides by way earlier than she ever expected, and that's when she realizes she doesn't know what to think right now. The prince just says that he's sure she can hand him something right now, and he's practically begging for that gift, because there's no way he won't be thrilled if he wants to step in and guide her. No crown, no prince act, just as mutual friend, and she nods instantly like, "Yeah, I need your opinions now, and I've got one more thing to add." She's about to ask him to hold up for a second, because she's going to think it through and then give him her answer. At the very last stretch of the holidays, the prince finally agrees, but he refuses to let her answer right now. Someone tells Lydia to just look at Isaac in proper official attire, and she bursts out laughing, because she says she's into that too. They huddle up to figure out what to give Isaac, and Lydia goes, "Is this really a good idea?" because she's already set on the one thing she wants to give him. So he can tuck it away forever as a keepsake, because in just 3 months Lydia will have to make a choice.